Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us this week on another. This one is this is death-defying. This is some crazy action movie shit that we have for you today.
I'm in.
This is a really an odd story. It's okay. Let's do a math equation of what it is. Well, we got to pick it. Well, it's Lee Murray, we'll say, plus Salt Walther, the crazy race car driver, and divided by, let's see, we need somebody, divided by Brian Spencer's father, okay?
I don't remember his father.
His father was the guy that wanted the Leafs game on real bad.
So he went to the news station.
So he went to the TV station with a rifle to demand that the Leafs game be played. That's the most Canadian crime ever, by the way. Assaulting a police television station with a rifle demanding a certain hockey game be broadcast. The most Canadian. You know, he had one of those red flannel hats on with the ears and everything.
Drove there in a pickup truck.
You know he did. He goes, oh, damn bastards, I'm going to get him good, eh? He was really upset. But yeah, it's a crazy episode. But before we get to that, thank you guys, everyone, for your iTunes/Apple Podcasts, whatever they are.
The most polite network hijacking
Could you please
ever.
put the Leafs game on, eh? Please?
And then he cocks the shotgun.
Oh,
I said please.
Don't make me use the shotgun now. That's no good. So he was very Canadian, so we had to give him an extract. They were like from a cabin in the woods where they had like they shot moose from the window, they said at one point. So we're very, very Canadian. Abnormally Canadian, we'll say.
I just cleaned it. Don't make me get it dirty, eh?
Do it. Don't make me do it. So if you haven't yet, please get on there. Give us a review. 5 stars would be wonderful. Doesn't matter what you say. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It's not for our ego. It's really just for business. So that would be wonderful if you could do that. If you want to be an even bigger supporter and wonderful person and friend of the show and really one of our favorite people, you can do that very easily in a number of different ways. You can go to patreon.com/crime and sports and you can make a donation there, or you can go to PayPal, make a one-time donation using our email address, which is crimeandsports@gmail.com. Or very easily, though, you can just go to shutupandgivememurder.com, and there's links to both those places. Also links to merchandise, lots of stuff, and T-shirts and sweatshirts and mugs and bath mats and whatever kind of crazy shit you want from there. And also you can get tickets to Small Town Murder live shows, which we highly, highly advise you to do. We're telling you, you come to a Small Town Murder live show, we pretty much guarantee you've never laughed that much at a stand-up show. We guarantee you that shit, because it's dense. It's not so just fun. One guy. It's both of us and visuals and the story. So it's like four comic forces in one, and it'll blow you away. We promise that. So please come out to a live show.
It's like Impractical Jokers plus swearing and murder.
And way better than that other shit show that you just mentioned. But I want to hear that.
I love those guys so much.
Jesus Christ,
they're so fun.
They can be, but I don't know. We're better than that.
I want to hang out with them.
That wouldn't be bad.
Just because it'd be
now
fun
it's
to
not going to happen
next
because I
to
told
Murr.
them. Yeah. All right. Good point. I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
We're not the same person.
No, but that's true. That's
we
a
look
good point.
exactly alike.
But do all of that stuff. That would be great. Just go over to shutupandgivememurder.com and peruse and see what you want to look at there. And other than that, Jimmy, we have a crazy ass story.
Outstanding.
This is a weird one, It's an Englishman, but it's like this is wild. It's not. There's very little sports in this. Put it that way. This is a lot of just crime and craziness, and he follows a different pattern than normal. Normally, we have one of two patterns. Generally, we have the early crime spree, and then we have like a career where they're cool for a while, and then afterwards they go back into the crime spree. Then they get old and kind of mellow out usually. Right. Then we have the don't do shit till they get super famous and get a UG go and think they can do anything they want, and then they're act a fool
and a mess.
They're a fucking mess, and they were fine, upstanding citizens before they got $10 million and shit like that.
And those ones are fun because those are super public. They're meltdown.
They're very everything they do is very public, and none of it is needed at all.
No,
like when a kid comes up hard and he's a teenager and he does some shit, we're like, meh, we understand that. When you're rich and famous and everything in the world is meant for you and you fuck up, there's no excuses. None. And it's even sadder when you end up in jail because you lost all that good stuff rather than just, your shit life that you had anyway. But this guy does a really weird... It's so strange. Like he's on the verge of being something huge, and then he does an enormously crazy crime that is still talked about to this day.
Great.
And a dozen books and 10 movies have been written about the whole thing. And it's this insane, crazy caper that he was involved in. And then you'd think after that he would mellow out, but he doesn't, and he does even crazier shit
and
after that somehow. And he's an Englishman. And let's just get into it. Right. It's Roy James is his name. You've never heard of him?
No.
He's a race car driver. But like I said, very little sports this episode because he barely gets a chance to race car drive because he's right in the middle of, at the time, one of the largest money capers in the history of the world.
Really?
Yeah. He's Lee Murray before Lee Murray.
Yeah.
It is too, and it's even more daring. We'll find out. It's like some old West shit, but in the 60s in England. It's fucking
Lee Murray's
cool.
the one's in like prison in Turkey or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, he's the one that came to the... Yeah. I don't know where he is now. We haven't seen him in like 2 years. But yeah, he was in like some weird Middle Eastern prison with
scary one.
hopefully with the same Hannibal Lecter mask they used to wear to the ring. Crazy son of a bitch. And hopefully he'll never get out because he will kill us, I have a feeling.
I'm sorry.
He's going to hunt us down.
Yeah.
Roy James' nickname is the Weasel. Like Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Or
very
like,
similar.
Pauly Shore.
Or Pauly Shore. I prefer Bobby. The Brain Heenan's the original Weasel.
Okay.
Sorry, Pauly Shore. You fucking keep that shit to yourself. God damn it. So this man was born in 1935. So he's an older gentleman here, born in Fulham, London. So he's as English as they get, man. He's an Englishman through and through. He started out as a silversmith early in his life.
In what year?
He was born in 35.
Okay.
So he starts out as a teen apprentice in his teens in the early 50s as a silversmith.
Gotcha.
Which
a little late.
Yeah, but I don't know why. It seems odd, but I guess this is it's a trade. It's a skill, and I guess if you're a silversmith or a jeweler, they're in demand.
They still work today.
That's what I mean. It's a high.
Fucking weird.
They don't have machines to make exactly what you want, I guess, and it's an art form still, I think, or at least a craft. I don't know if it's an art, but it's a craft. Damn it,
we'll go with craft.
It's a craft, so it's sort of an art, I guess. I don't know. So he's a silversmith, but he's very into sports. He's very into anything competitive. He's a very competitive guy, which is an odd thing for a silversmith because that's like a very calm, very intricate. You got to really be focused and cool. You can't be like jacked up and be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this," and then sit down and like tiny, little piece of jewelry with a tweezer and a magnifying glass. You have to go into that shit calm, like Freeman on The Wire when he's making dollhouse furniture. Yeah, you should see that. I
was so excited to relate to something.
Yeah, no, sorry, you're not going to relate to that, buddy. That's not a great outdoors reference. I apologize. So we'll get one in. Don't worry.
All right.
So he ends up having a trial for the Queens Park Rangers football team, the soccer team, which is a big shit football team actually, and I don't think he made the team of any kind, but he was good enough to at least get a tryout. He was a champion water skier, which is insane. This is in the early 60s. This is like late 50s, early 60s.
I'm not impressed by
as
water
a teen.
skiers.
No, but back
John
then
Candy did it on accident.
He did on one fucking leg over the whole lake.
And then when he was done, his ass was
that's
out.
True.
So.
Also, like on The Wire, no, nobody ever water skied on The Wire.
Wait, was his ass up? No, that was Police Academy.
That was Police Academy. The look on your face when I said like on The Wire, you were like, they water ski on The Wire? Never. Picture one time Omar was like, I'm gonna water ski up to this boat and rob these motherfuckers blind. That's would have been the jump the shark moment right there for The Wire. Definitely. But yeah, I was impressed with this shit. So I don't know if he was better or worse than John Candy.
Yeah.
It could go either way.
He did it on accident. That's incredible.
That's what's incredible.
But chubby people are buoyant as fuck. So
they are buoyant,
he was cheating.
But he was going backwards.
That's
he did
true.
jumps and shit, which is pretty impressive.
Went through the cattails.
He think he did a jump and a swirl too. He did a twirl and a jump, and it's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
John Candy's a pro. So apparently water skiing wasn't enough for him in terms of adrenaline, I guess. Water skiing and soccer. So he turned to racing cars, or karts at the time, the karting ones. In 1960 is when he began racing motorized shit, basically. And he represented Britain at a European Championship meeting in France, and he won 4 out of 5 races there right away. So he was kind of a savant for racing.
Prodigy.
And yeah, he really was. And then when he really had an impressive start to his career, it's so strange though, but back then you couldn't, and it really, every racing one we've ever done, every racing episode, there's all this crime, and it's all crime to fund the racing.
Right.
It's never like on the side where like you'll see like an NFL player with a huge contract, and he's selling a bunch of cocaine, and you're like, why the fuck are you doing that? Whereas these people, it's literally like we're importing, tons of weed so we can fund our race team because it's way more expensive to race than you make in the 70s. This was pre when it was on, had huge television deals, and like racing is a big money thing now. It wasn't in the 70s and the 60s, especially. It wasn't. It was fucking hillbillies that were, just off moonshining. So some of the people competing back then were still like moonshiners, like,
still criminals,
retired moonshiners that are doing this shit now.
And the racing thing is kind of like the system that we have in place where the impoverished are selling drugs to pay off their court fees. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like that, except these people don't have to race.
Right. That's a good point.
They have to live and eat.
The impoverished does have to breathe.
Eat and live and pay rent. Nobody says you have to be a racer, but if you want to be a racer, apparently you had to be a criminal as well, unless you came from a wealthy background. It was kind of like horse racing sort of a thing. Like you could either be a blue blood or you could be a gangster and be involved in horse racing, one of the two. But either way, you're going to have to have money.
One way or another, you got to pay the fees.
Yeah, it's so nobody with a 9-to-5, just normal dude is being a race, owning a race team or a horse at this point. He sees I don't know how you say this, and I'll never get it right, and people are going to bitch at me for it if they know cars, but I don't give a fuck because I don't know cars. Brabham, B-A-R-B-H-A-M,
B-R-A-B,
B-R-A-B-H-A-M.
Sounds like a Brabham.
I don't know. He saw this car. The guy who made the car, Jack Brabham, I guess. He just turned into a manufacturer as well as a driver, and he had this car. It was a 1962 version of his car, and Roy fucking wanted this car.
Oh boy,
he wanted this car from this guy bad. So his whole he was trying to get this guy to sell him the car, which he eventually does. He's always into racing as a young age, just because of. He likes adrenaline. Yeah. A lot of these guys that we do, the racing guys, they're adrenaline junkie kind of guys. Which, Jesus Christ, if you want to drive as fast as you can and almost kill yourself a lot, that's you kind of have to be that kind of cat. You're not a baseball player who's going to sit in right field and wait for a ball for a while. So, plus he was English, so that was
also going fast like that really is terrifying. If you can't just
some people aren't terrified
and really enjoy it and just take it in, if you can't do that, you better not fucking do it.
It's like when they talk to the Iceman, Richard Kuklinski, and they say that he has like a personality where he doesn't get, like they said, if you weren't a psychopath, you'd make a great, like fighter pilot, because you don't have you have a fearless thing, and that's what these guys have to have, because otherwise, if you have any thought of, oh shit, you're going to crash, because you can't have that. You have to be on all instinct and
have you ever been on a bicycle going really fast and you envision yourself crashing and then you do?
Oh, you will crash. That's why they say don't look down when you're up somewhere high. Hey, don't look down. Why? Because then you're going to fall. Otherwise, you'd be fucking fine. Your mind is a fucked up, horrible place.
I used to jump my bike over all kinds of things and do wheelies and stuff. And every time I would do something new, and the first time I do it, I could see it happening where I would hurt myself. off, and I would do it exactly the way I fucking saw it.
It's the board. It's the board. It's the board. I might as well say it. I don't think it was said it on the show.
No, you didn't.
Jimmy Johnson, who I can't stand, an ex-Cowboys coach of a team I can't stand also. So for me to like something he says, it has to be really good because I can't stand that fucking idiot. So anyway, this guy, he has a thing in Dallas that he told the guys, and it's brilliant. And you kind of have to get through to a football team, there's 53 guys. Right. So you kind of have to, some of them are smart and some of them are dumb as stumps. Right. So you really have to say shit in a broad way for everybody to get it. And he said something that I think is brilliant. And he said, if I put a 2x4 on the ground all the way across the room, he goes, 53 of you guys, every single one of you guys could walk across that 2x4 to the other end of the room. No fucking problem. You're all athletic young guys. Boop, you'd walk over there and be like, what's the problem? If I put that 2x4 20 feet in the air, most of you would fall off. Same 2x4, it's the same walk, it's the same everything, but you're letting your mind fuck with you and all the outside factors fuck with you. And that's the most impressive thing I've ever heard an asshole say. It's pretty good. I got to say, good for you, Jimmy Johnson. I don't know what coach you stole that from in the 50s or something when you were playing, running back for some high school team in the middle of nowhere, but good job stealing it. That's pretty smart.
He heard Bum Phillips rattle it off when his team was playing Bum's team. That's probably what happened.
That's probably what it is. He's listening to a cup up to the
up on the wall.
What he said. Okay, hold on a minute.
They got a great coach. Let's see what he's got to say.
What he got to say. So he's Roy James, though. He's into all this shit. From a very young age, he's always getting busted in little petty crimes, and he's always out running around, and he's kind of just a troublemaker, and he's just got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of energy. He likes speed. He likes adrenaline. He would steal cars. And then he would also, he wanted to race, so he would, he would do things to get money to race too, and little races and shit. So he started funding his racing early in shitty ways. He also wanted this car that I said that's very expensive, and so he had to do some shit on the side. So what he would do is he got a job, and this is insane. This is some movie shit. Nowadays, this doesn't happen. A heist gang. There's a heist gang. First of all, there's not a lot of heist gangs running around nowadays. There's a heist gang, and it's like fucking Ocean's 11. Like they all have a function. Like one guy's the safe guy, and this guy's that guy. He's the getaway driver. That's his job. He's a race car driver whose job is the getaway driver, and they put him in a fast car and they throw the loot to him, and he fucking takes off through the streets and tears ass to wherever they're going. Right. And that way he can try to lose the cops if they're onto him or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what it is, but it just sounds like a great plot in a movie. Really, I like the whole device of having this race car driver here.
That was the only flaw in the town to me, was that the getaway driver was a big fat lazy fuck.
That's never going to work.
That guy's never going to get away.
No.
Stop it.
No. It's like on The Wire when they send those two guys, never fucking mind. And the one gets shot because he didn't listen. And he said, they're going to get all the glory of shooting him, and we're not going to get shit. And then he ends up getting shot in the head. Stupid. Slim Charles told him, don't bust off because you don't want to shoot across your driver. That's what's going to happen. Don't see, when Slim Charles says some shit, you listen.
God damn it.
He's a good clubhouse guy, Slim Charles. He's just there to make sure the team every team needs a Slim Charles. That's all I'm saying. So, he needs to do this. He's fast. He drives fast. He's crazy as fuck. Yeah. He's one of those guys that's just like, well, he's crazy as shit. He's not going to pull over. He's either going to get away or, go out in a burst of flames, one of the two. So either way, we're going to be good. He's not going to get caught and tell on everybody probably. So he was recognized as pretty damn good at it too, as far as London heist gang getaway drivers of the early 60s are concerned. I'm loving the thought of it. Yeah. Everyone's wearing leather from head to toe. The leather cap and the leather thing and leather gloves, and they're all... It's very moist and damp, and it's always foggy. This is terrific. And
they don't have fingerless either. He has like the full leathers with the strap with like that little patch of skin. Yeah.
I know that's where you were going.
A little patch of skin on the top of the hand and the knuckles missing.
And a leather Kangol hat, like a floppier version of it.
Like the bill attaches to the
Samuel
top of that.
Jackson, except floppier. A little bit floppier. Like more like the AC/DC guy wears, but made of leather.
They don't know better to wear it backwards. They just wear it straight forward.
Oh, no, this is the early 60s too. That's a style that makes him look like a motorcycle punk.
Goddamn staple.
Then. Yeah, it's a goddamn staple. A decade gets a little later, he's going to have a chain wallet. You never know.
Oh, that's terrific.
It's English Hell's Angel is what we just described. Very polite, clean shaven.
Yeah, they look great.
They looked fantastic.
They're just bad motherfuckers.
I'd like to see that. Compare the Hell's Angels types of the early 60s in England to our like Oakland version, let's say.
It's like getting your ass kicked
Sonny
by
Barger's
a
crew.
group of golfers.
Yeah, that's what it would look like.
Without their clubs. They just like knock the shit out of everybody.
Come here, old chap. Just beating the shit out of you with their fucking... This is why my knuckles are missing. Just pop, pop, pop.
A right punch in the mouth.
Yeah.
A right rap on the jaw, young one.
Yeah, just very positive about it, though. Nope, come here.
With a smile.
Come get some. Let's go.
Come get some.
Let's go now.
Jesus
Come get your walloping. Just... Let's do it.
And they like twist the wrist like
oh yeah,
Popeye
do one of these
do.
little Muhammad Ali when he was
the elbow. Hell yes.
Muhammad Ali do it with the right and jab you with the left. Do one of those. Except he actually hits you with that one. Oh Christ! So he becomes kind of into this gang run by a guy named Bruce Reynolds. He becomes their getaway driver, and they do all sorts of shit. They're into like payroll type snatches, like payroll trucks, like the Brinks truck or something. If somebody was delivering a payroll, that's what they wanted to hit, or shit like that. They like bold, big heists. This group, they weren't somebody who was they weren't cat burglaring some shit in the middle of the night real quick and getting out. No, this was we're busting in at high noon,
big payday,
fucking guns blazing, going, everybody on the ground, cocksuckers. Some real old west shit. This is crazy for England. I feel like they got into some cowboy movies and got some ideas. It's not a good idea. So they would have all of these, just a lot of very, very ballsy things that they do. He went to jail a few times, Roy James, for minor offenses here and there, and some breaking and entering at one point, and he had some problems basically. He and a guy named Mickey Ball, who we'll talk about a lot more. They were the drivers in a heist where they made off with 144,000 pounds sterling worth of jewelry. Okay. So whatever that is, 144,000 sterling pounds of someone of jewelry in Monte Carlo. They were involved in it, so international. This is some international.
No, they're not fucking around.
Crazy jewelry heist shit. This is some weird. James Bond's gonna get sent to stop this fucking guy. This is nuts. They end up getting into. They go back to England after this big heist. They're feeling good about themselves, and they fall in with another gang. Here, this is the Bruce Reynolds people, and they are planning on knocking over an armored payroll truck at Heathrow Airport in November of that year. So
serious.
This is serious shit. Yeah, this is fucking crazy. They were their jobs, driving wise, him and Mickey Ball were to. They had 2 stolen Jaguars, and their jobs were to get the money from everybody and drive away in opposite directions, and then meet up wherever the hideout was.
That's
here.
Smart. One gets caught, you still get half.
That's the thing, yeah, and also too that you don't know which way to follow. They went both directions, so you can't. The whole force can't look for one way. They have to split up, which gives you also, if you got 2 good drivers,
a little better odds.
It's all smart. Now this is all this shit these people do is planned pretty fucking well. It's pretty impressive, I gotta say. They really get into this shit pretty. Better than I would think. I like to put myself in these people's shoes, and they're planning these robberies, and they're like, they did this because of that, and I'm like, wow, I would have never thought of it. I guess I'm not a good criminal. I never would have thought I'm not a good heist man.
What's our guy's name?
Roy James.
Okay,
Roy James, the Weasel.
Yeah, Roy the Weasel. I was just hoping that, because Ball, I was hoping the other one. I was hoping his last name was something that was
something phallic,
testicle thing.
Yeah, or
it's the 2 of them taking the money. They could be called the Bullet Boys,
or Cock and Ball would be nice. Or if his name was even Richard.
He's a Jimmy.
If he's a Richard, even we could Roy James. I guess we could really.
He's the Jimmy. We could muscle it into a Dick and Balls reference.
We could shove the square peg into the round hole, or the round peg, I should
say.
Kick it
in there. I don't give a shit.
Into the square hole. It's going in, and we can make it happen. We can make it happen. So he during this heist, he was exiting in a gate of the through a gate in the airport's fence. purpose, and he bounced off a police car that was trying to block his way. Yeah. He bounced off it kind of on purpose to shoot himself in another direction. Like he used the police car as like a. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, he's a sick driver. This guy
that on purpose.
Yeah, this guy knows like how to drive. Yeah. And normal people and even cops, they don't know how to fucking drive like that. Nobody knows how to drive like a race car driver. They can make cars do crazy shit. And he's like a stunt race car driver. So he bounced off and was able to keep going. So people were impressed with him and his driving ability, and kind of became legendary. Like, holy shit, did you guys see what the fuck he did? Yeah. That's awesome. So he's like being on a football team. He made a great tackle at the goal line, and it's legendary forever here. So,
James, your weasel is your dick.
Yeah,
by the way,
that's true.
That's interesting.
He is the weasel. So the weasel in the ball bag. So that's nice. So there is a dick and ball thing. Why did it take us this long to figure that out?
In my head, I saw Charlie Bailey Gates from Me, Myself, and Irene go, "Want to see my weasel?"
There you go. Well, that worked. That worked well enough.
Thank you, Jim Carrey.
So, yeah, Jesus, we would have totally missed that other words. No, that's fucking great. It's perfect. We needed that shit. We needed to know.
We needed cock and balls in this story.
It was going to bother me the whole time. We needed a resolution on the cock and ball front and see what the hell's going on.
Want to see my weasel? I love doing. My daughter loves when I do that. Anyway, sorry.
Wait, whoa.
Not.
You're going to have to go back.
My daughter loves.
I'm going to take a sip of my water. You explain that one, okay? Because that was.
My daughter just loves when I do Charlie Bailey Gates.
Your daughter.
No.
My daughter loves it when I ask her if I want to. You can't say that unrecorded.
No. My daughter
Someone isolate that, please. I beg you.
When I tell her to do things with Charlie Bailey Gates' voice, when I'm just like, clean your room.
Someone isolate that. Send that to me, and I'll make a ringtone out of it and post it. By the way, we're making ringtones very shortly. We finally found a thing how to do it. So we're going to have ringtones and text alerts and all that shit available very shortly. Probably when we're done touring, just in time for Christmas.
Right.
So there you go.
That'll be helpful.
Buy someone $1 text alert for Christmas, and they'll think you're a cheap fuck. Good deal. Crack that bitch up. There. That's when we could have. That's when we could have inserted the anti-drunk driving fucking PSA they wanted us to do. That's what we could have gone right there perfectly. Hold on, I got to crack this open. And then we cut to don't drink and drive every year. Fucking 400. Yeah, that's why we're not doing it because
I drink.
Because Jimmy drinks, and we're not going to poke the hypocrisy gods any harder than they're already being poked.
At that point, we're shaking their tree.
We're really shaking their tree, so we're not going to do it. So anyway, he bounces out of the gate in Heathrow with a trunk full of payroll, and he's got Mickey Ball. Right away, they get out of the gate, and he overtakes Mickey Ball and burns right by him in a race car move here. He basically, this is pretty cool. He waited until the light turned red at an intersection and then jetted off.
Beautiful.
Right before the traffic went. Yeah, so he left everybody behind. A total movie move. It's what Beverly Hills Cop. It's what Eddie Murphy did in Beverly Hills Cop to lose the guys when he was going to Victor Maitland's house to drink beer and shit out of his cooler of his trunk. That's exactly what happened.
What a good movie.
We're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. That's when that happened, because they sent the other two guys. Never mind. Okay. It's a great fucking
really
movie.
Is.
Anyway, that's another one we're going to reference a lot now, because it's in my head. Sorry.
I'm going to start hammering in Animal House references. That shit's on Netflix again, and it is
Jesus
amazing.
Christ. Yeah, it's okay. It's a little sloppy.
It holds up after like how bad.
It's a lot of good jokes.
Yeah.
Together as a film, it's very sloppy. But it's like a fucking.
The plot's terrible.
It's like it's put together really weirdly and oddly. It's the late 70s. They were really just like, who cares about editing? Just fucking black out for a second and go to the next scene. Who gives a shit? Like, it's really
nobody cares.
It's super weird, but it's got, as jokes go, it's tons of crazy good scenes. Yeah,
even with society really cracking down on like the treatment of people, it's still pretty.
Well, it was supposed to take place like 60 fucking
62.
Yeah, so it's supposed to take place like 65 years ago.
But it's still pretty. It's still pretty goddamn good,
and it's meant to be funny.
I mean, apart from the part where he's like, "Fuck her brains."
Well, yeah, but he doesn't. He doesn't.
That's
he doesn't, which is good.
It's just crazy.
That was a very honest devil on the shoulder. Nobody doesn't have. I don't care how good of a person you are. You're not going to do it, but you're not going to. There's no way the thought doesn't cross your horny, drunken mind for 2 seconds, and you go, "No, I'm not a terrible person. That's awful." But
it's very funny how vicious that devil is.
His devil was a little more prominent than most. It was a bit over the top. He's bigger than mine, I'm sure, but he did the right thing in the end. But anyway, so he did think about it pretty hard, though. He did. So a little longer than he should have. So anyway, so he takes off through this. All sorts of shit. This was a kind of a rough robbery, too. Mm-hmm. They went in and all sorts of clerks and armored truck drivers and guards got whacked in the head with fucking blackjacks and billy clubs and shit. They went in there not messing around, just cracking people over the skull and jetting out of here. And they only ended up getting away with about 62,000 pounds. The robbery was kind of a bust.
That's a risk.
For a big scene like that with all getaway drivers
60
and
grand?
Yeah, homemade blackjacks and clubs and shit, beating people. It's not worth 60 grand. No. So they and they realized that too. They thought there was a lot more. It didn't work out right here.
They start counting out singles and they're like, "Oh, we fucked up."
Well, yeah.
These are supposed to be hundreds.
Shit, I thought fuck damn it. This is the wrong queen on here. I don't know what the hell you have on your money. I know a queen.
Whatever.
Do you have different queens? Is it like presidents on money? Do you have different queens on different money? Like, oh, that's that queen from the 18. So you've had the same one for like 180 years in a row now. But before that, before she was because she's almost two.
Oh, it's steeped.
She's a Highlander, right? I believe
it's
she's
steeped in history over there. So there's got to be tons of them.
Yeah, I'm sure. We've never been there, so we don't know what you have on.
Or do
your
you
money.
just have like her in a yellow hat on one money, and then her in a green hat,
or is it just
money?
like one of those stickers like we have on trucks of like someone pissing on their worst football team? Is it just them pissing on France? Like a former king pissing on France because you hate the French. So
boy, do you hate them.
They're right next door. I get it. But
and they've been there a long time.
Oh, they've been fighting for years.
They won't move out.
No one will move. It's like a bad neighbor. And they have a channel between them. They have like a nice hedgerow, like in terms of neighbors go. Right. There's a pretty thick hedge. I mean, it's swimmable, but it's still you can barely see it from the other side. So it's not that bad, but still, man, it's awfully close. They're going to fight. They're going to fight, and they have fought for
somebody's got to give up.
It's
going to be the French.
And but the French are going to be very cocky about it because they're like, nice boiled meats over there. We've been inventing cuisine for the last few hundred years while you guys have been eating shit. Right. Oh, way to get on board in the last 15 years since fucking Gordon Ramsay got a TV show. You guys figured out food that wasn't boiled to shit. Nice job. And then the English are making fun of them for, I assume, lack of hygiene. Right. And I don't know. Well, what else do you make fun of the French for?
The second that your
needing
population
protection,
smells
I guess,
terrible, you can make fun of them.
You can make fun of
forever.
Them, the English, are they known for smelling good?
No, but the French are known for smelling terrible.
The English will at least put on a big thick sweater and keep it in there, and you won't smell it at all. Yeah, the French will let it flow with a tank top on. They don't give a shit. Armpits swinging. Yeah, that's the difference. Yeah. The English are a little more,
The French just smoke cigarettes to try to cover it, and then it just smells like a filthy ashtray.
Oh, perfect.
That's what it is.
Like a stinky.
It smells like an ashtray filled with sweat. Thank you.
Good. A horse crotch tray. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah, no, put your spud out right there. Yeah, that's excellent.
Good place for it.
Oh, my God. So another thing this robbery did, besides net them very little and put them up for a lot of risk, is really put them under a microscope from law enforcement.
I'm sure.
This is a big ballsy payroll heist at the airport. They're going to look into this. This is going to be in the papers, and they're going to look like assholes if they don't solve it. Right. Whenever you do anything challenging and bold like that, you're challenging law enforcement to do shit under the radar, so it's the least interesting, so it gets no press coverage, and they can push it under the rug, and they don't have to solve it. Because they only solve shit they have to solve when it comes to shit like this. After a month or so, they might put a guy on it, but after that, they're going to let it go unless reporters are constantly calling and asking about it. Then they're like, we really have to figure this out.
Not for a public fucking risk that you're beating people up with homemade blackjacks.
That's the other thing.
Over 60 grand at the airport.
At the airport.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. Yeah, that's an issue. It's like, what's next at that point? You don't commit crimes at the airport. You're a fucking asshole if you do that, first of all. Because you're just making the fucking lines longer, you cocksuckers, all of you. Don't you do shit at the fucking airport. I will kick you in the dick because I don't want to wait online any fucking longer than I have to, you asshole. Jesus Christ.
People that scream on planes and get drug off, you're a dickhead.
You're fucking it up for everyone.
Sit down, shut the fuck up, and get to your destination.
We need airplane justice at that point where, you know what happens? If someone starts acting up and cutting up and acting a fucking fool.
It's on us.
No, this is what should happen. The flight attendants should just look around the cabin and then close the little curtain and go to the front. We didn't see shit. Yeah. And then everyone in the back, you fucking get that person down. And if we have to knock their fucking teeth out, we will.
Listen.
I don't care. Put them in a seatbelt in row 38. Yeah. There you go, asshole. Put a pillow over their mouth. I don't give a shit.
Put them in that stewardess jump seat in the back of the fucking plane.
Shut them up. We're flying to Cleveland. Let's go. None of us want to go there either.
We're
Shut
going
the fuck
somewhere
up.
that sucks. Don't make this air flight fucking Cleveland also.
That's it. Either that or just shove them out the little door and have somebody there to keep going.
Through the shitter hole. I don't care.
I don't care. Slow down and push them out. So, the Scotland Yard's flying squad apparently recognized James and Ball as they kind of looked around and were like, who in this town does like fast getaway heist robberies?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of
who can bounce off a police car and keep going.
That's what I mean. There's not a lot of those guys.
We got 10 guys.
So
let's question them all.
Check. And the people who they narrowed it down to are, what about that? What about Roy James and Mickey Ball? Because they're kind of the main suspects here.
They know each other.
They know each other. It seems like they would have worked in tandem, possibly. So they were like, out of just they think those are the only two guys that they have. That's so funny. Sitting there, there's only two guys in this town that could do something like this. That could pull. This is a total.
It's a cartoon.
Crazy action movie, a stupid action movie, but every bit of this is real, and it gets very dark at the end too.
What was the one from Saturday Night Live that was like a spoof of MacGyver? MacGruber. That's basically what this is.
That's what this is.
There's only two guys dastardly enough to pull this off.
And it's the Weasel. The Weasel and the ball bag.
Right, and it's names that are perfect for that movie.
Weasel and the ball sack coming at you. So they talk to him. Ball immediately caves in and tells on everybody. He gives up the whole thing. He betrays everybody. Everybody in the ring he betrays except Roy James.
Except for the Weasel.
He doesn't tell on the Weasel because that's his buddy.
Yeah.
So he says, I don't know anything about that, but this is what happened, but I don't know who the other driver was. So it's a good friend.
It's a Balls move.
It's a Mickey Balls right there. Mickey Balls,
what
y'all.
What are the chances that all those guys are not going to say, the dick shaft did it?
What ended up happening is only Mickey Ball ends up doing any time out of this whole thing. Everybody else ends up getting off on, because he's the only one who says it. Nobody else corroborates it.
All right.
So they all get together and they go, if all of us just deny it, it's just his word. And there's nobody corroborating and we're not going to get in trouble. And they all just said, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And that was that.
When he gets out, we'll beat the shit out of him for putting the heat on us.
That's it right there. Or it's weird, too. They were very forgiving with shit like that. It's like, well, I understand, mate. It's, hey, they had you over a barrel. What are you going to do, mate? And it's, hey, we got off. No biggie. So head for a pint. And they're like, what the fuck, man? Over here, they'd be waiting to stab that guy 3 steps out of prison. 3 steps.
Welcome home, mate.
Welcome home.
Cheese.
That's it. Yeah, here they're setting him up.
Oh, God, they're opening him.
Tea? Yeah. They're offering snacks. So, anyway.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, From Law and Crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
James ends up using his part of the take of this to purchase the car that he wanted. So he takes that car and he ends up going and entering in, the circuit now with this fast car. Problem is, this is fucked up here. Problem is, there's not a lot of heist gangs. Yeah. So whenever there's a heist,
they need them.
There's like 6 guys and they're like, well, it must have been those guys. And they go knock on their fucking doors. So it's like being the mafia in a small town or something. That's why the mafia is like in big cities, because you can kind of blend in a little bit. Yeah. If you're in like Cedar Rapids, it's
hard to pull off a little.
It's hard, yeah. Right. If fucking trucks keep getting hijacked, it's probably fucking Vinny or Paulie. There's only 2 of you there. That's it.
Look for somebody named Vincenzo.
Yeah, that's probably the guy. There's 2 fat guys in jogging pants that eat a lot of salted cured meats. I'm going to assume it was them.
Or at minimum, they know something about it.
They hired that other guy. Something.
They're very familiar with the ins and outs of that project.
They got paid by that project in some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of what ended up happening here.
Fat guys in jogging pants. Jesus Christ.
That's what it is. So Cedar Rapids.
That is hilarious. That is their fucking outfit.
It's comfortable. They figured it out. They figured life out.
You're not doing what those pants are for.
Like, I'm going to eat a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And I want to be comfortable.
I'm wearing them.
What am I going to do? Loosen my belt?
Right.
Why have a belt? Right. I'll just untie and retie this elastic and everything's going to be fine.
Eat a plate of spaghetti. The fucking pants don't fit anymore. But if I keep my jogging pants on, they fit all day.
And a jogging jacket, it covers most sins, A pound of jacket covers, a ton of sin. It's one of those, a ton of fat sin. So I think that's it also. Hey, I look pretty fucking slim in this thing. I'm not going to lie. It's got the vertical stripe down the side. Slims me out.
When I zip it up, you can't see my tits.
You can't see my tits, which is a plus. I'm not going to lie. Right. It's a plus. It's not bad.
Except for these 2 little dots down here around my belly button.
That's all right, though. Nobody minds that. That's all right. Pass the sausage. So these fucking people here. Yeah. So now he's pulled off some robberies in the south of France. He's pulled off a Monte Carlo robbery. He's pulling off Heathrow Airport robberies. It's a pretty fucking ballsy guy here, I gotta say. And one of these here, the weird thing is in the Mickey Ball thing, I forgot to mention this earlier, in the Mickey Ball thing, they both got drug into a lineup, Ball and James, and Ball got identified and not James.
Oh.
They didn't pick James out, but they picked Ball out, and Ball was like, yeah, no, I don't know who the other driver was. None of these guys were the guy.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, that's how that ended up working here. He ends up being jailed for 5 years, Ball, on this whole airport heist.
$60,000.
Yeah, for $60,000, but it got him his car and it got him in. And in 1963, he ends up entering a shitload of races in his car now. It's the Formula Junior circuit here, and he does really well. He has 16 wins that year and 11 fastest laps in all of these, and it's not too bad. I got some of his. This is how little sports there is. Let's go through the sports. This will take about a minute and a half.
Okay,
and this is all crime for the rest of the episode. 1963.
Okay, so he's in his 30s.
Yeah, he's well, not quite yet. What is he, 28 right now?
Oh, 35.
Yeah, he's 1935. So he's like 28 right now. He was in the Express and Star Championship 1963. He did not finish on this one, apparently. He came in 7th in the members meeting in 1963. This is the LVI BARC, whatever the fuck that is. He does well there.
Liverpool something.
Yeah. The Snetterton 1963, which is definitely an English race. Yeah. The Snetterton.
That sounds like a nickname for your nose.
Your nose, or like a dean of a boys' school. Dean Snetterton's coming. We put all the pigeons in his office. He's going to be so mad. They're going to shit all over everything. You would prank Dean Snetterton.
Yeah.
You'd totally put pigeons in his office so they'd shit everywhere.
You got a boogie hanging from your Snetterton.
Yeah, from your Sword 4. It's a good nickname.
Take my hanky.
This race here is apparently up to 1,500 cc's of engine, I guess. He comes in first in this race, so he wins this race. He comes in second in the Stanley Sears Trophy in 1963. This is on the Snetterton circuit.
1,500 cc. That's a small motor. That's like a flat 4. That's like an old Volkswagen. That's a shit motor.
I have to tell you what these cars are too. You can't picture like a big NASCAR or even like a modern day Indy car that they drive with the open wheels and all this. These are open wheel cars with open roofs, open cockpits. These guys are wearing fucking ties and cardigans while they race. I'm not kidding. I shit you not.
That's amazing.
They look like they just, taught a course at a local college and then said, fancy a race, and then got into a fucking car and tried to drive enough to kill themselves.
I want to see these cars.
Oh, I'll post a picture of him in his car. It's fucking incredible. He's wearing a Mr. Rogers cardigan and a fucking tie and a white dress shirt while he's racing an automobile.
And the checkered flag's waving.
It's insanity. It's insanity. No sponsors on it, nothing. He just looks like a nice English boy who just taught a course in accounting.
I like it.
He comes in, first in the Snetterton 1963. I think I already said that one. The Express and Star Championship Round 10, 1963, comes in first. He comes in 13th in the BRSCC Northwest 1963. This is Jesus Christ, Owlton Park, Jesus Christ, Tarporley, Cheshire, June 15th, 1963.
Good God.
Comes in 13th. I think these are, the LVI isn't Liverpool. Those are Roman numerals. Now it's LVIII.
All right, that's what it is.
These are Roman numerals.
Somebody already knew that.
Yeah, someone knew that. And they're like, you fucking idiots.
Dumb Americans.
Hey, we know nothing about racing and we're not British. We ask that you find our ignorance charming, as always.
I know very little about racing, but I know even less about fucking which series you guys have over there.
Under 1,500 cc early 60s kart series. Who the fuck knows about this shit?
And why do you guys have goddamn Roman numerals for those?
And why were you wearing ties? Why so formal? Hey, pal, loosen it up. Wasn't even loosened up like a businessman at having a fucking vodka tonic at the end of the day.
Top button.
This shit was fucking to the top like they were going on a job interview. He looked like he was taking the race car to a job interview. That's what he was going to do. It's like, gotta get there quick, mate. I'm late. And fucking fancy a race car. And he just took it. I don't know what the fuck. So... he comes in first in this race, the members meeting 1963, the LVIII, comes in first there. The Sheffield Telegraph Trophy 1963 comes in first there. He is crushing it. The BARC 1963, he comes in first there. Also had a fastest lap there too. The Mike Hawthorne Trophy of 1963.
I know a guy named Mike Hawthorne. That's fascinating.
This was in Phoenix Park, Dublin. So maybe he's from there in Ireland.
Not him.
He had a fastest lap there also, and he comes in third in that race. The BARC 1963 Aintree Circuit in Liverpool. He gets pole position. He has the fastest lap, and he ends up coming in fifth there. This, by the way, he comes in fifth because he probably has his mind on some other shit because... 2 days after this, he does one of the biggest heists in the history of the world.
Really?
So we'll talk about that. But
2 days after this race.
2 days after this race. So it was all in the planning, and he knew he was going to do it, and he was getting ready for it. And he's like, oh, shit, I got to do this race this weekend, too. By the way, I got to get this over with real quick before I do my main thing.
Amazing.
So the fact that he came in fifth is impressive, and had a fastest lap in pole position.
Yeah.
Not too shabby, but we'll finish out the racing, and then we'll do this here. We'll get into the crime and the whole heist. So the Charles Wilkinson Trophy of 1963 at Cadwell Park, the Cadwell Park Circuit in Lincolnshire. He came in first there. Apparently somebody was saying there used to be a YouTube clip of this race, and now no one can find it, which sucks.
Fascinating.
I found this message board, and I was like, I'd love to see this guy racing in a stupid tie. This will be great. I want to see if it comes out of his cardigan and flaps behind him.
I want his cardigan flapping in the wind win like a cake.
That'd be fucking tremendous. Also, I guess on the video it's pretty funny because the announcer at one point says, quote, Roy James makes a splendid getaway, which is really apt and amazing.
That's incredible.
In a very excited English accent.
Well, yes.
A splendid getaway. He's very excited. So the Tourist Trophy 1963. This is in Goodwood. The Weasel and the Ball Man going to Goodwood. Jesus Christ!
Sounds like a husband that doesn't get laid much and whispering into his wife's ear on Sunday.
Yeah, that's it right there. I got that Goodwood. It's finally here.
Morning, babe.
Finally here. No, I haven't peed yet. That's why. Let's just get it over with quick because I got to go bad. So he didn't start this race for some odd fucking reason. Now the point at this point here, he's under observation. In this point in the season, he's under observation by the police, and the only other race that he enters, he doesn't end up participating in because he's under scrutiny by the police. He's under mass amounts of. At that point, he wins races, comes in fifth, does a giant heist, and then kind of stops racing.
Yeah.
He qualifies for one and then doesn't start the race, and then another race that he's registered for, he just doesn't do shit.
Show up.
And we'll talk about why.
Okay.
It's because he's in fucking hiding. Let's just say this: he's won some races, things are great. He hasn't been in prison. Grace. This is grace.
Oh, Jesus.
He's won some races. He's not even 30. Really, his career's just getting started. He just got this huge fucking car, and now it's about to go downhill for him very fucking quickly. Now, what would force this guy, with clearly an up-and-coming racing career, he's winning races. Anybody who's, whatever circuit you're on, if you're winning races, you're doing what you should be doing, and you're going to move up in whatever. What would force this guy at the end of a good year to, in September, stop attending races, to qualify for a race and then not show up for it, and then just not show up at all for the next one? Well, that's because they were planning a giant scheme and pulling off a scheme and then hiding from a scheme. And let's find out what they were pulling off. They were pulling off what is known as the Great Train Robbery. Okay. This is known throughout all lands as the Great Train Robbery.
In the late 1900s. Middle.
This isn't the 1875. Right. This isn't like Billy the Kid didn't do this.
The James Younger gang.
None of that shit happened. This is in England, the Great Train Robbery. And meticulously planned. I mean, this is an Ocean's 11 type heist that they're pulling off here. This is fucking crazy. There's a million moving parts. Guys all have, specific assignments and specialties and getaways, and we're meeting back at headquarters. It's fucking crazy. This is a silly action movie. Okay. And they made if you've ever heard of this, I'm sure in England, this is much more of a known thing than it is here. Probably.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of it, but it's I've never really, you don't see that much about it kind of nowadays, or especially in American times, and you especially never hear about it from the race car driver's perspective, which is very weird.
That's hilarious for the Great Train Robbery to happen in England. Likely a race car driver had to drive up to it.
Yeah. Well, no, that wasn't even how they did it.
There were no race cars involved?
No, later on. They drove. It's fucking crazy how they did this.
Cars were around, is my point.
Yeah.
When we were robbing trains here in America, the cars couldn't outrun the train.
No, it was about horses, and it was about, well, if we get them out in the middle of nowhere with our horses, we're so far away from help that no one can get to them, and we can get away before help comes. That's the plan.
There's no telegraph wires out there.
No. This was in a populated. This is fucking crazy the way they did this. This was a plan to intercept and change routes on and rob the overnight Glasgow to London mail train. Okay. This is the government mail train that they're robbing. This isn't like some private car. This is they're robbing the mail train. This is a huge deal as far as.
That's why you don't mail money.
Yeah, well, they we'll get on what the money was, but it was like decommissioned bills. There was bills they were taking out of circulation. They were moving them from one place to another.
Genius.
And yeah, this wasn't all computerized or any of this shit back then. It was just money that they were going to fucking put in an incinerator and burn to get rid of.
Fucking genius.
So they knew about that, and they said, why let that happen? Let's intercept it.
Stole the trash, and it happens to be money.
And it happens to be fucking money. So it's crazy. This was a guy named Patrick McKenna gives great detail of, he's a postal worker from this area who has a lot of knowledge about the money and all this type of shit. And he ended up, was involved in the whole thing here. His name was kept secret and was known to the robbers as the Ulsterman, whatever the hell that is. I don't know why everybody was this was very like, some of the guys didn't know each other, and there's like a couple of the robbers where we still don't know their real names.
Really?
Because like the guys didn't really know who they were. They were just this was like some crazy Ocean's 11 fucking weird.
Some fucking trust though.
It's oh yeah, this was
Jesus.
you could only do this back then.
Yeah.
Like nowadays it would be, everybody would tell on each other, and everybody would go to prison for 50 years, and it would
Somebody
be pathetic.
posted on Instagram.
They would totally, like, with a big sacks of money, like, we were to fucking decommission what?
Fucking, yeah.
Incinerate what, bitches? Fucking.
Incinerate, hashtag incinerate this.
Queen's fucking faces fluttering before him to the ground. So, yeah, this was, the scheme was devised over months, apparently, by, this guy, named, Bruce Reynolds that we talked about, a guy named Charlie Wilson, this Goody and Edwards were two of the other ones. Reynolds was kind of the mastermind of the robbery, although Roy James had a lot to fucking do with the planning part of it. Okay. He was kind of smart in terms of planning, as far as that goes. But this Reynolds guy was the head of this whole operation, so he kind of gets credit. He kind of gets credit for he's like the head coach. Okay. His assistant coach came to him with a game plan, but he okayed it, and so he's going to get credit for it. It's that sort of thing here. Now, all of the robberies have been real successful so far, except 62,000 pounds. But only one guy got caught and went to jail. That's a pretty good robbery if you're going to do a ballsy airport broad daylight robbery like that. So they've done pretty well too with all their other shit here. Problem is they have no experience in stopping trains and dicking with trains.
Yeah.
So you have to know how to like do shit with a train.
Where are the brakes of a train?
That's what I mean. A train's not like, even if you get an 18-wheeler, I wouldn't know how to fucking move that thing. Would you? If you had to hijack an 18-wheeler, could you do that whole double clutch shit and all that crap that they have?
I'm sure I could start it, but I don't know.
I would stall that thing out. It would take me a half hour to figure it out.
Air brakes and shit like that.
Who the hell knows how to do that?
How do you operate the Jake brake?
That's nothing compared to a train from the 60s. That's, I'm sure, just levers and coal and I don't even know what. Fire.
There's no pedals in a train as far as I know.
Fire shooting out of things. I don't know what happens, but you would burn it would be terrible.
All I know is the guy that runs a train is often covered in soot and smoke.
Oh, you know what I mean? He looks terrible, especially back then.
Yeah.
Just covered his
face is black.
His white mustache dotted with soot. That's all it is. So they figured they needed help. So they enlist the help of another gang. They bring another gang in here. This is like a gang collective meetup project. They're going to build something together. It's really nice. It's nice stuff here. This is the South Coast Raiders is the name of this gang, which sounds like a football team or a hockey team or a soccer team or anything like that. This group had a guy named Tommy Wisby, Bob Welch, I assume the ex-Oakland A, Los Angeles Dodger pitcher Bob Welch, and a guy named...
I really like that guy.
Bent. Yeah. He was a good pitcher, Bob Welch. He wasn't bad at all. Him and Dave Stewart were bad. Yeah, he was good in those like Dodger teams in the late 70s too, Welch. And then he made
the Pirates eventually.
I don't remember after the A's.
Maybe it's the A's. I just see him with yellow.
The A's, those late 80s, early the Dave Stewart and Welch were the 1-2 punch of that team anyway. The Canseco, fucking McGuire.
Right.
Chili con carne Lance for years.
I never put that together, and that's brilliant.
It's Chris Berman. I hate Chris Berman, but he called him Chili con carne Lansford, and I found that hilarious, and I've never stopped calling him that forever.
Lansford.
That's a great name.
Great little player.
I just remember they would always show, every time he'd be in the World Series, they'd show footage of him in the Little League World Series, because he was in the Little League World Series beforehand. So they go, here's Carney Lansford.
And he hasn't grown an inch.
And he hasn't grown an inch. There he is with his mustache. He has grown a mustache, though. A big push broom. So he's got a nice Wilford Brimley. Outside of that, he looks the same as he did when he was 10.
He looks like an 11-year-old with a stash. That's
still playing third base, the whole deal. So,
poor Carney.
No shit. Poor Chili con Carne.
How fucked is that your first name is like a slur for people that are just the dregs of society?
Dregs of society, Spanish for for meat. It's a bad.
That is brutal.
That's a brutal one, man.
Poor Carney Lansford.
Poor Carney Lansford. I hope that wasn't his real. What's the full name for Carney?
I hope it's Kelly.
Is it like Carniford or some crazy shit like that? He's like, God, I'll go with Carney.
Yeah,
so,
that's hilarious.
So yeah, they bring in old Bob Welsh here. They bring in a guy named Jim Hussey. Apparently these guys were like the most seasoned train robbers in the area, so they could kind of tell you how the trains work and shit like that. And also a guy named Roger Cordry, who was a guy who was a specialist in robbing trains.
That's corduroy.
That's corduroy. It's Cordrey. So I think Cordry. Yeah. So he was they had a specialist in train. There's no specialists in train robbing now. There's a bunch of idiots that try to do something stupid, but this guy was
barely have specialists in operating a train. At this point.
We have to have that. Right. But this guy knew how to rig the trackside signals to make the train think they needed to stop.
Oh.
So all those signals that we don't know what the fuck any of those things mean. Yeah. Apparently the guys driving the trains know what the shit those mean, and they stop when they're supposed to stop. So he knows how to rig this shit. It's fucking nuts the way they do this, man. Okay. Me and you wouldn't get past step one of this.
No,
we'd be terrible at this.
Like, stop a train. I'll see you at home.
Well, I don't know how to do that. How about we rob a 7-Eleven instead? That seems much easier.
I know how that stops.
I know how that works. Otherwise we have no idea. So they had a bunch of other guys too. A guy named Ronnie Biggs, who was a guy who was an associate of Reynolds, who they had met in prison, which is it's the best place to meet people to do crime with. It is.
Generally, yeah.
Lots of times when big things happen, it's two guys who met in prison.
Right.
Get a couple criminals together, put them in a room, and give them time to talk. They're going to come up with shit. That's how it works.
They may not know how to make it work, but they definitely know how to make it not work because they're caught.
If you have two bad kids, the first thing you do is separate them. Right. You don't go, now you two sit in a room together and plot. What the fuck kind of logic is that, prison system? Nice job. The last thing we want to do is put them all together in the same room to plot. That's the last thing we want to do.
We're going to put two and two all the way around this room, and then for 6 hours a day, you guys come out together.
Yeah, bring your ideas together, and everybody mix and match together, and maybe you guys can team up, maybe this pod and that pod can get together.
Put you back in your rooms, take those ideas away,
stew,
come back tomorrow.
Marinade, come back tomorrow. It's great. It's what I mean. What fucking, you have two kids that are bad. You don't even let them talk to each other.
No.
You're not allowed to see him anymore.
Don't even look at him.
You can't hang out with that kid anymore. And this, we just put them together. So not doing well. So this is what happens here. The total raid of the total gang assembled for this raid, for this great train robbery, is 16 men.
Wow.
So this is a big group.
This is Ocean's 16.
This is Ocean's. This is a big goddamn group of people, man. So this happens.
And some of them don't even know the guys.
Some of them don't know the guys. Some of them only know one guy who recruited them, and they don't know who else is in it. They just know what their job is on this deal. They don't know anything else. They're keeping, I guess that's smart. Keep everybody as compartmentalized as possible.
Yeah.
If you're the guy who rigs the signal, and even if I'm the guy who rigs the signal, I don't want to know everybody else in the fucking thing. I need to know the leader of the thing, the guy who's supposed to get me my cut and shit like that, but I don't need to know the guys who are clocking people over the head and shit like that.
The other part
I don't want to know that.
You do your part, you get the fuck out of the way. You rig the train, then you go the fuck home and wait on your cut.
That's it. You don't need anybody's. You don't need to know this shit. And nobody. It's only a risk for everybody to know each other. So I think everybody back then was happy as shit to go. One guy in the middle that everybody trusts knows who's involved and nobody else does. So this was Wednesday, August 7th, 1963. Okay. This occurred right before his racing started falling apart. Because if I'm not mistaken here, he had the one race was August 24th is when he qualified for it, ran the qualifying laps, then didn't do the race because it turns out he was wanted, and we'll get to that.
Hilarious.
He did the laps and then read in the paper after the qualifiers that he was wanted and was like, oh shit, I better not show up at that race. They're going to know I'm here. So that's what ended up happening here. So yeah, this whole thing, it's 6:50 p.m. So 10 to 7 at night, Wednesday, August 7th, 1963. And this is the Up Special train, I guess they called it. It's set off from Glasgow Central Station. It's going to the...
It's not the UPS?
No, it's the TPO, Traveling Post Office.
Ups.
No, Up Special, UP Special.
Got it. Okay.
That's the train it is. I don't know.
Okay.
It's going to Euston, EUSTON station. Houston, I guess. I don't know. Houston. That's the way Houston should be spelled. If it's going to be pronounced like that. Fucking ridiculous.
You're right.
It's so, and I don't even know who's right on that one. But it's making me crazy.
That's Houston.
That's what I mean. Like the street in New York that's fucking called Houston. It's spelled like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Which I don't
know. It's not Houston.
Never mind. Yeah, people are going to bitch about that. You know what? Fuck you. You're pronouncing it wrong. I get there's a lot of you. It's a big city, but that doesn't mean you all can't be wrong.
Houston should start with an E.
Yeah, it really should. Change your shit, Houston. Get it together. I know it's going to change your hat and all that stuff.
Right.
But
it's going to change your baseball logo. It's going to change everything.
We're going to work it out, though. We're going to get you through this,
but
everybody.
An E's a pretty damn good letter.
I think it is. I think it's a better letter.
I do, too.
Maybe. Well, I like it's kind of like an H anyway.
Yeah.
It's lots of lines and
it's
things.
Squared up.
Squared up. It's all
I just
fine.
like the fucking swirly one. When
when
it's
like
rounded off. And
Newark Eagles hat that I have with the swirly E. Yeah, I got to get another one of those.
That's a good one.
It's a sweet hat. So anyway, it's going there. It's going to London. So from Glasgow to London. So it's scheduled to arrive in London at 3:59 in the morning is when it's supposed to get in.
It's a red eye.
It's getting on the red eye there. The train is hauled by English Electric Type 4 diesel electric locomotive. D326 is the kind it is. It consisted of 12 carriages, 12 train cars, and carried 72 post office staff workers who sorted mail during the journey. So that's why it's a traveling post office. It's not just a train with a bunch of bags. It's people. They have a whole system set up in there, an assembly line, the whole deal. So when they get to London, drop their shit off, everything's sorted, ready to go.
It's awesome.
So yeah, it's cool. It's efficient, I guess, and they're doing it overnight. And I guess it's the only way to make mail happen.
Sure.
Back then, when they don't have any computers to sort shit or big whatever the fuck machines. So it's loaded onto the train at Glasgow, and also during the station, it has stops from a few collection points where local post office staff would basically take the mail and hang them on the tracks. They'd have hooks out. These post office, they'd put the big bags. This is your hook, and that's your hook.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the mail. It's the post office's mailbox, basically. So it's where they drop off. This is shit for you. This is shit for you, and then it gets delivered from there.
I wonder if that's where the word post came from. That you were hanging it on a fucking post.
Maybe.
It's possible.
I guess so. Maybe. Who
that's
the fuck?
Your post.
Yeah, that's your post. Yeah, the origin of that. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is.
Trading post. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, post office. Like it's an office at the post. Who the fuck knows? Who knows? God damn it.
I just wonder if that's where it came from.
I'm sure. You don't send us the Wikipedia of because we'll look it up after this and we got it. So we understand.
This is what happens when I sit here and drink and listen to you tell me a story. Where did that come from?
Why'd that be like that? What happened there? So yeah, they would sort the mail, drop it off, and they do this all at the same time for efficiency. So, this would make it so they wouldn't have to stop to the train. They just kind of slow down, put the thing on the hook, and fucking take off. They wouldn't have to stop and, have a piece of cake or anything. Right. Yeah. So, they do that. So, one of the carriages.
This is the way you would organize things. Talk to somebody. Fuck that. We'll slow down and toss it out.
Slow down.
How about
put a hook on your building
for you then?
Just put a fucking hook outside. Why do I have to talk to you when I'm just handing you a mailbag? We don't even need to be it could be hung on a hook. Tell you what, put a fucking hook outside. I'll put it on there. We don't need to have small talk over this. I don't care how your kids are. Go fuck your mother. Put a hook outside. I'll have your fucking mail.
This is how James would design
That's true. Jesus Christ. It's a really good. I am actually envious of this. I like this. This is a smart design here. So the second carriage, the car behind the engine car, was known as the high value packages car. Okay. And it was the HVP coach, they called it, which is the high value packages coach. Carried large quantities of money and also registered mail that was for sorting. Usually the value of these shipments, they say, was in the region of about £300,000, which is a shitload in 1963.
Yeah.
But because the previous weekend was a UK bank holiday, and there was a delay on that, and also they were throwing out a bunch of bills. The take here is between £2.5 and £3 million in 1963 money, which is obscenely crazy nowadays if you think about it.
Whoever's running that needs to tell two people: the guy that's running it and the guy with the shotgun on the fucking train guard.
No one else needs to know because this is just a bunch of postal employees. And if you've ever been to the post office,
oh boy,
I'm sure they give two flying shits. They'd be like, steal what you want. I don't give a fuck. I'm on lunch anyway. And they just step off the train. It was
more than I'll make ever.
I'm going to put this on a post anyway. I got shit to hook. You do whatever you want over here. They wouldn't give a fuck what happened. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't either.
Or they would all just all together just be like, let's just fucking take the train.
Yeah, tell you what.
Why are we sorting this mail? Just take the money and let's get the fuck out of here.
All of us. We're a postal team now. Let's all move to an island.
More than all of us will make in our career.
You've been to the south of France? I hear it's beautiful.
Yeah, sure, they're dicks, but they make bread.
Yeah. This is fucking funny.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
The messed up part is in 1960, the Post Office Investigation Branch recommended putting alarms of all traveling post offices with high-value package carriages, and it was implemented in 1961, but there was a lot of carriages without alarms still that were retained in the fleet. Yeah. So they would put them in new ones, and then the ones that didn't have them, they would just kind of spottily put them in.
Retrofitting is expensive.
It's expensive, and they're kind of like, whatever. So by August 1963, only 3 of the high-value package carriages were equipped with alarms and bars over the windows and bolts and just a whole secure, like a plane cock. They've locked the cockpit down. It's the same thing here. Locked down the expensive shit.
And they didn't use that one for this one.
No. They said at the time of this, all 3 of them were out of service.
Oh,
all 3 of them were being repaired at the time.
The new ones are shit.
Yeah, so this was a reserve carriage that had none of those features that they were using. So this was actually lucky that this happened here. They didn't know that at all, but this was lucky. They had radio. They were also going to put radios in it, but people could call for help if they were being robbed and ambushed in the middle of nowhere. But they deemed the measure too expensive and said, "Fuck that, never mind."
$2.3 million. You're not going to fucking protect it?
2.523 million, somewhere in that range. But it's expensive to put radios in, Jimmy. Boy. It's very, very expensive. So that was never put in. This whole thing here, the carriage that ends up in question, they ended up keeping in evidence for 7 years after this, so they could study it and shit. And then they ended up burning it in a scrapyard because they said there were souvenir hunters always trying to take a piece of the train car because this is such a famous robbery.
Here's the thing, though. When you have money that you're throwing, you're getting rid of this shit. You know what I mean? This is all garbage. Use a little bit of it to make those trains worth a fuck.
That's true.
It's all garbage money.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's an economic inflationary
I get it, but fix your shit.
Problem is, too, all the money that they're throwing out was mostly 1 and 5 pound notes. So these aren't big notes. So we're talking 3 million pounds in 1s and 5s.
Oh, boy.
Which is a shitload of money.
12 cars full.
We'll talk about how many actual loads it was. It was crazy. So they were going to be destroyed by the Bank of England. Fucking Jesus Christ. This is amazing, man. I don't know. Now, when they first start to come in here, there's people assaulted immediately. Right. They blackjack and club over the head a few different people. They don't take any shit. They're like, do this. If you say what, they're going to club you once. And, I said do that. They're trying to act like, professional robbers who are whatever. But James wasn't really into the assaulting of shit or really anything like that. He wanted to get away with the money, and that was his adrenaline rush, was to drive away from the cops with the money. So, but he actually, it was his job, James was one of his jobs, because they had a few people doing this, to decouple the railroad cars.
Gotcha.
To take them apart from each other, because they don't need the rest of them that don't have all the shit in it. Right. Fuck those people. Those are just extra people to deal with. Yeah. Leave you behind, and also, we have the important shit.
You get off the engine, let the engine keep going down the line. Now the train's sitting still.
Which is, exactly what they want here. So that was part of him, part of what he did. And the thing, too, was a fucking, it turned into a bit of a mess here. He and a couple other gang members were practicing. This is, by the way, while he was going in these races and winning, he was also going at night to practice in the train yards, sneaking in to practice decoupling trains. Wow. So when they did, when it came time, they knew how to do it and shit, which is fucking hilarious.
It's even more amazing that he got 5th place in the qualifier.
That's what I'm saying.
He's exhausted
while this is all going on. Yeah,
he's up all night decoupling.
He's decoupling train cars at night. Like, whew, man, it's been covered in soot and grease. They're like, you haven't even been near your engine yet. How are you covered in that shit? So they would do all of this shit here. He studied railroad technology, and he thought that he could operate the hijacked diesel locomotive should the driver not be cooperative. James is like, I can drive that shit. I think I can drive the fucking train. He's just a crazy son of a bitch. I'll drive that. If it's got wheels, I'll fucking drive it. Care if it's on a track or not.
He's Smokey or a bandit.
Or one of the two. Yeah. He got good at decoupling, though, which is the interesting thing here. He even hitched a short ride on a locomotive out of the London station it was going to in order to observe. They were all like getting on the trains. Yeah. They were riding the trains at different times to observe where the employees went, and they were really, it's a lot of money, so it's worth putting some time into. Sure. The movement of the locomotive and the mail coach, I guess, was very vital to this whole thing here. They end up, they're afraid that he or none of the gang will be able to figure out how to work the train and take it where they need to go. So apparently James objected vehemently to this because he said he could do it, but they brought in an elderly train driver, an elderly retired train driver into the gang. So Roy James is like, you're bringing the fucking old man in? I can drive the train. And they're like, Roy, you don't know how to drive a train. You drive cars well, but you don't know how. He's like, I've seen him do it. I can do it.
I'll get off the goddamn tracks. Fuck this old man.
I don't give a shit. I'll take it across the field. What the fuck you want from me? This old man's a pussy. This is not a fucking drive. Right. I'll bounce off another train and keep on going. What do I look like here? So he was pissed off about that. James was kind of angry going into this robbery because, number one, there's an elderly driver who's going to do this, and he wants the adventure of driving the train. That sounds fun enough to him.
Sounds rad.
Yeah, stealing the train, driving away. That's some cowboy.
That's my job. Decoupling,
then driving away with the money. Yeah. So also he wasn't real happy with the cars that they picked for him, because rather than Jaguars to drive away, they get him 2 old boxy Land Rovers. Oh, no. Those are the getaway vehicles, and only one of which was stolen, which was a stupid thing. Very odd. And also an army surplus truck, because they're going to take it from the army's, like a big, I think I don't know if it's like a troop carrier, or to carry supplies, probably like a box truck, I would think.
Like a box truck from Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, like I picture a camouflage box truck, basically.
Like
so
towels over the back.
Yeah, with like some leaves coming off the cab of the
real
thing.
Tree camo shit.
I think they had one of those in stripes too.
Yeah, the camouflage netting
parked out there. Yeah, the netting. Exactly. So yeah, they have probably that. I think they take the surplus truck to the Land Rovers and take that money, load it into the Land Rovers, and then split off into 2 directions.
So only one Land Rover is stolen. That means one of them's registered.
Well, I guess one of them somebody's car.
Somebody's like, I got one,
You just
we're
use
good."
my wife's car, mate. It's cool. She doesn't use it at night. Don't worry about
Far
it.
too polite.
As long as you get it back by 7, she can take the kids to school. It's fine. It's
Too
gonna
many
be all
miles
right.
on it.
They also, so they didn't really, so really they don't need a road racer. They just need someone to drive safely. It's a fucking Land Rover. Don't tip it over. That's pretty much your only job there. But the problem is they decided to, basically they have a lot of shit they have to take. They know they have to take a lot of shit, and they only have James as a driver here. Ball's not going to be able to help him.
Yeah, he's in prison.
Yeah, exactly. And they decided so they needed to get a staging area. They couldn't have this James drive with this money for 3 hours to wherever they were going, all the way back to their shit. They needed somewhere close by to stage, somewhere off the beaten path where they could go split up the loot and fucking divide it from there. Okay. So they end up getting a small farmhouse. They purchase a small farmhouse near the site where they wanted to do the robbery. Okay. So that's a staging point where they can all, leave from, synchronize watches, and then return to split up money and all that shit. And they also hung out there and planned. It's like a little gang headquarters. Yeah. This is like a video game. This is like fucking Red Dead Redemption 1963 London style. It's fucked up here. So they would do all of that and they'd stash it there, let things settle down, and then break up the money. So anyway, they also talked about originally taking the money away in a horse trailer, but James said, "For the love of God, can I please at least have something that's not as embarrassing as a horse trailer?"
Also, can we make it something fucking modern?
Please.
Can we stop with the technology of the 1800s?
Get a fucking Amish guy and a carriage and a buggy and just take me away in that. I'll sit in the back and they can just go 4 miles an hour away from the goddamn thing.
The Amish in the back making fake fireplaces, and let's just keep going.
No problem. So let's talk about the some of the people. Let's talk about the cast of gang characters here, because these are mid 20th century London gangsters in a heist. This is amazing. So they have nicknames and everything. Okay, first you have Bruce Reynolds, who is he's the overseer and the gang leader of this whole thing. He's about 31 years old. He's the leader of the gang. You have Douglas Gordon Goody, who they all call Gordon. Apparently, he's 33 years old at the time. You got a guy named Charles Frederick Wilson. They all call it Charlie Wilson. He's 31 at the time. You got Ronald Christopher Edwards. By the way, Charlie Wilson's the treasurer and an organizer. So he's the guy who's supposed to keep track of all this fucking money and what happens to it. One of the organizers is Ronald Edwards, who they all call Buster. There's a guy named Brian Arthur Field, who is an informant there and an organizer in the he's the guy who facilitates the sale of the farm and kind of helps out with that. And he's also an informant on a bunch of area shit for them. He's kind of a ground guy for them, or a side guy to whatever. Also a guy named Patrick McKenna, who they called one of the guys the Ulsterman, and that's the guy they think is Patrick McKenna, but they're not sure yet. It's still fucking, whatever. It's still up in the air there.
And Ulsterman's the guy that's organizing this shit?
No. That's Reynolds. Reynolds is the organizer.
Got it. Okay.
The Ulsterman is one of the inside guy from the train yard.
Got it.
And so they kept that guy secret because they didn't want to get that guy busted. Mm-hmm. So only a few people know who he is. Roy James, obviously, we know about him. John Daly, not our John Daly. I'm going to say this fucking guy has got around. He's 32 at the time. By the way, out of all these people, Roy James is the youngest of the crew at 28. Everybody else is in their early to mid 30s. A couple guys are in their 40s. A guy named James Edward White, who's 43 at the time. He was another just kind of a thief in the gang. Goes by Jimmy. Very creative. Also, Roger Corddry, who we talked about already. Robert Welsh, Bob Welsh, we talked about him. These are all South Coast Raiders gang members here. Tommy Wisby, or Wiseby, either one. And James Hussey is another one of those. These guys are all in their early 30s. Ronald Biggs is another one of these guys. So we're going to hear kind of these names and going to give you an idea of who they are, so you don't know who the fuck are these people. If you hear that name come up, it's one of the gang guys. You don't have to memorize who they all are. I'll let you know if it's important.
But you've at least heard who they are.
You've heard it just after they are here. So, So just after 3 on August 8th, so this is the next morning, the train took off, and so it's supposed to get there at 4. So at 3 a.m. on August 8th, the driver, who's a guy named Jack Mills, he stops the train on the West Coast Main Line at the red signal light at Sears Crossing in Ledburn between Layton, Buzzard, and Cheddington. Okay, the signal had been tampered with by then. They covered the green light. This is fucking creative. They covered the green light and connected a 6-volt Eveready battery
to the bulb on the red
to power the red light and turn that on. So the train driver just sees a red light. Time to stop. He doesn't fucking even think twice about it. So there's another guy there, a second crew member, known as the second man, they call him. This is a guy named David Whitby. He's as the signal stop was, they didn't expect to do that. Whitby climbed down from the cab. They have these telephones on the side that you can call in for help or whatever. So he's supposed to call the signalman to say, what the fuck is going on. So he picks up the phone to call the signalman and finds out the cables are cut.
Dead. Right.
So the phone's dead there. So this is starting to get a little bit suspicious, but whatever. I mean, it's London. It's probably just, it's got soaked through and molded. It's all soaking wet.
It's out in the middle of nowhere. Probably,
soaking wet. So he makes his return to the train. And as he gets back on the train to be like, I don't know, the phone doesn't work here, he's grabbed from behind and overpowered by one of the robbers. So at the same time, the driver's waiting in the cab for him to return, and instead of the second man coming in, gang members enter the cabin from both sides. And this guy, I don't know why the driver tries to fight, but the driver starts to grapple with them and shit like that.
Doing?
Yeah, they're trying to. He's fighting with them. There's a bunch of fucking people. It's crazy.
So much leather in here right now.
So much leather, gloves, no knuckles, not a gloved knuckle in this fucking place. Don't fight. So what ends up happening is, as this driver is wrestling with one of the gang members, another one comes up and clonks him over the head with a blackjack.
Of course.
And, knocks him pretty much into a loop, semi-unconscious on the floor.
There's more of them.
So yeah, there's more of them. They're overtaking you. But I guess now he can say, I tried.
Did my best.
I tried. Maybe he was in on it. He said, you gotta clonk me on the head so it looks like like it's a mob thing. So then the robbers, at this point, they see, they had to move the train from where it had been stopped, because it's by like a signal thing, to a suitable place to load the truck with the stolen money, the army surplus truck with the stolen money. So, they end up, they chose about a half mile down the road as a location for this, a half mile away from where they're going to stop them. Now, one of the robbers was masquerading as a school teacher, around and like acting like he spent months, going on and off the trains, telling everyone he's a school teacher, befriending the railway staff and all this type of shit, and also familiarizing himself with the layout of how everything works on the train. He pretended to be an everyday train rider, just going to teach school. But they ended up, like we said, having the old man and bringing him in to move the carriages here. Now what ends up happening on the night, the driver, the old man here, was unable to operate the locomotive. He was retired, and this was a newer type of locomotive, and he got in there and went, I don't know how to work this newfangled horse shit. I have no idea how these work. Jesus, back in my day, you had to set it all on fire. I don't know.
Said that. Back in my day.
I don't know what the hell this goddamn piece of crap is.
These extra levers
Jesus Christ, what is that? Oh, a flame shoots out.
I only had
Holy
two
shit.
before.
It was go and stop.
Right.
And that was all I had. It was shovel coal or stop shoveling coal. So, he didn't know what the fuck to do. He was only, they had, another guy, he was experienced in just a different type of train. So they had really nothing else to do. Nothing, they really couldn't fucking do anything else, so they decided that the driver that they knocked out would have to move the train. They'd have to fucking slap him around a little bit and be like, listen,
wake up, Snoozy.
Super sorry about the bump on the head, but we really need you to do some shit. They didn't even ask him before they didn't even be like, look, we'll give you $50 if you move the train from here to here. No one will know. Nothing. So, they do that. They get him to do it. Now, the one guy, Ronnie Biggs, his only task was to supervise the old man's participation in the robbery. And so since the old man wasn't going to be involved in it, they sent Biggs off the train and said, you go wait down there to help load the fucking bags of money. We don't even need you on the train anymore, you useless fuck. So he gets sent off here. So the train ends up getting, moving, they decouple it. James decouples it, him and his guys. They move the whole thing away. They smash their way from there into the mail coach, and then they formed what they called just a line like you would to put out a fire,
line,
like you're passing buckets, but with bags of money.
It's the little rascals with their water buckets.
with their water buckets, and they just pass bags of money until they get outside to a surplus truck and they throw them in there. They had a time limit. They had all this shit timed to where this is like a real robber. They were yelling out like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and when it was fucking time to go, they left. They left some money bags behind.
Have to.
Disciplined enough to do that, to say, no, this is as much time as we have. We need to fucking get out of there. Yeah. So what they did is, when the train was stopped, how they ended up doing this, one guy who was they put him in charge of the postal workers, and you keep them occupied basically, and pass all of this shit down. A couple of them had to be hit on the head. A couple of them.
You got to show everybody else who's boss.
A couple of them got a little mouthy, and they said, well, how about a clunk in the head? And they went, oh shit, okay, never
you're
mind.
The one in charge.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. They ended up making the staff lie down, face down in a corner of the carriage, and did all that shit. And then they ended up bringing the two drivers, the driver and the secondman, handcuffed together and laid them down too. They had all there. They end up removing there was 128 sacks of cash in all, and they end up removing 120 of them.
That's pretty good.
So they are disciplined enough to leave behind eight sacks, which is you could have just said there's only 8 more. Fuck it. And that's very disciplined here. They transferred it all in about 15 to 20 minutes to the waiting truck. So it took them about 15 to 20 minutes to offload all of this shit. And so they end up departing clean about right on schedule 30 minutes after they began the robbery. So from the time of first contact to driving off with the money, 30 minutes total to drive off with a shitload of fucking money. So this is crazy. And also they used two different Land Rovers, and like we said, they used two different ones, but one is stolen, one is not. They used the same plate. They use the same plate number of the stolen one on the non-stolen one too, and to try to confuse anybody. So they send the two Land Rovers off in two different directions with the same plate number, and nobody, I saw it go this way. Well, I saw it go that way. It just sends confusion. It is brilliant. They really, really fucking think of a lot of details, and way more than I would think of. We'll put it that way. They're better at this than I would be.
That detail alone is the best one of the whole thing.
It's impressive.
That's great.
Someone came up with that. That's definitely somebody's job was to come up with the little things. Like, I got an idea.
Confuse
what about this?
Folks.
Yeah,
I got you.
We need some obfuscation shit here. So they end up getting all the way back to the farmhouse as the sun is rising. So it's early morning. They pull into the farmhouse. He ends up, James calmly drives the Land Rover up the driveway. No bouncing off of anything. And, he probably tried to. Maybe he did like a skid around the corner just to make it exciting for himself.
Quickie brake slide.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I had to get something in there. So it was 1963. They get away with 2.5 million pounds.
Excellent.
In cold hard fucking cash money. No gold, no shit they have to fence, just cash.
Half an hour's work.
Unregistered, no, not fucking marked, nothing, just cash, man. So it's pretty goddamn. It's pretty fucking interesting here, but 30 minutes they get out, not too shabby. Now, while they're at this farmhouse, they're trying to wear gloves the whole time because they don't want anything connected. But it happens sometimes. It does. But what they end up doing is as soon as they get back to the farmhouse, they decide to paint the truck that they used because it had been seen by one of the train's crewmen.
Oh, no.
So they paint the truck to make it look different. Thing is, here paint drops and splotches wind up on places like the bottoms of these guys' shoes that are going to connect them to this place.
You're better off dumping that shit in a river bottom and lighting it on fire.
Exactly. You're better off burying it like the mob would do with a truck full of shit they don't have use for and it's hot, like fucking bury it. I don't know. That's all you're gonna do.
Get a backhoe out here and put that underground.
That's it. Also, once in a while, people would forget to wear their gloves and left some fingerprints on it and on some funny shit, to be honest with you. Also, mail bags, what they got the money out of, because the money was in mail bags, were disposed of kind of haphazardly, like thrown in the goddamn regular garbage and shit like that. Idiots. So they, for this meticulous amount of planning, it was like once they got the money, they just went wee and just fucking, we're buying ice cream now, and just ran away, throwing money bags aside.
It's always the dismount.
That's what I mean. You feel like you got away with. Once you get away with the actual heist like that, you probably feel like you're fucking golden. But at that point, now you really got to cover your tracks if you want to get away with this shit. What
the
fun
most
is,
careful you have to be is when it's over.
I would think so, because this is when they're going to be really looking for, and especially if you did this on a government mail truck, you stole this fucking money.
The Queen is about to be pissed.
She is fucking livid right now, super pissed about it. She's like, all those pictures of me, no, you get them back.
She will throw an expensive teacup.
That's right. Teacups are broken over this shit.
Pieces.
So the saucer too. God, she threw the whole thing together. Saucer and cup.
$8 million.
Oh, Jesus. It was from the 14th century. It's a fucking mess.
The last one of Henry VIII's wives drank out of before she had her head removed.
That's it. So, the problem why they were so haphazard, though, is because they heard radio reports that police were scouring the area, and what did they fucking expect? Police said they really didn't give a shit, and it's fine, and they're going to worry about it tomorrow because they're all pretty busy today. They said, we're going to scour the area of the robbery for possibly suspects and recovered money, obviously. But they get all paranoid because they're like, shit, they're going to find us here. If they scour the area, they might find this farmhouse, whatever. So they end up fucking taking off and getting the hell out of there, and that's why there's fucking strewn about mail bags and shit like that. They were going to leave it. They were going to leave with everything in the horse trailer later. That's where they were going to end up using this horse trailer, and they end up not doing it because they all just kind of scatter individually and leave the horse trailer there. James gets his personal Jaguar, and which, that's what he was. He would use this Jaguar to make runs between London and the farmhouse, carrying money back and forth. That was his kind of job, was to shuttle this shit because he could run from the cops if they got onto him. So he would. What he would do is he would work all day. This is what I mean. This is while he's still racing. He qualified for a race right after this all happened. So he is. It's amazing that he could qualify for a race while he's doing this. He's working in his garage all day, so no one sees anything amiss with him, because normally he works in his garage all day. So he's all day working on shit like nothing's wrong, waving to the neighbors, hey, how you doing? Yeah, come over for some tea and fucking jerk me off or whatever they're fucking doing. He's doing all that, and then at night he's making fucking money runs in his Jaguar all night, and then he's going and he's got to go in the garage, he's got to race.
It's got to be exhausting.
He's got to be fucking beat, man. So much driving, first of all. It's got to be really annoying. The road rage alone, I don't know how he could not do that based on you know how many fucking bags of money I have back here?
You driven tired before? That is the worst.
It's the worst.
Ever.
Imagine having to race a car tired.
God.
I would assume if you, like in NASCAR, they probably get a good night's sleep beforehand.
I'll bet they get a couple good nights.
You don't want to be sleepy here. Yeah, they
That's
tell
the worst.
Get the kids the fuck away from me. I need to sleep tonight.
And you're behind the wheel. Fuck.
Yeah. So he found time anyway. He ends up. This is a nice thing that he does. Mickey Ball is not there, but is home, and he's got a wife and all that shit. Roy James takes 12,500 pounds of his take of the money and brings it to Mickey Ball's home.
That's nice.
And drops it off as like it's some some gang shit that he did there.
In prison for a long time.
He's trying to take care of his guy because he didn't tell on him. Right. That's why. You don't tell. Yeah, he didn't tell on him, so he said, "I'll take care of your family," and he tried to. 12,500 pounds is a lot of fucking money back then. Yeah. That's more than a yearly salary back then. So that's not too bad. He took. Three lots of loot, I guess, as they put it in this thing, in this book here. 3 lots of loot. He took 3 loads of cash here, in his Jaguar, but he was just driving speed limit, obeying traffic laws, doing all that shit. He didn't want to get pulled over. And then when he would get out, to near the farmhouse. That's when
he'd
tear
open it up.
ass. Yeah, because he has to do something. So they distribute the whole deal. So the police obviously they've been on top of this since 4:20 in the morning.
Yeah.
Apparently one of the railway workers slipped out at around 4:20 and alerted the police, alerted the signalman, and it went out over the police radio, quote, "A robbery has been committed and you'll never believe it. They've stolen the train." So that's pretty impressive if they heard that on the police radio, which must have made them cackle like bastards. That'd be hilarious to have them. See, I told you we'd shock them with that one. They wouldn't expect that shit. Now, the total stolen from the train, the figure quoted in the press is 2,631,684 pounds. Okay. The official police investigation states it at $2,595,997 in a total of 636 packages contained in 120 mail bags. They said that they had both the older white notes and the newer blue notes, which were half of the size. So I guess they had bigger old banknotes that they were destroying, trying to take out of circulation. And then they had some of the newer ones either. There were also 10 shilling notes and Irish and Scottish money also, which is interesting. They did say it was a 30-minute time limit, which is interesting. The total weight of the bags removed was 2.5 tons of everything here, according to the police. And also they used the fucking this is pretty funny. I don't know if this is true or not, but a bunch of them said it, so it makes it great, and I really hope it's true, that when they were hiding out in the hideout for a while trying to figure out what to do, they famously played Monopoly there a lot, and they fucking used real money to play Monopoly with.
Genius.
Which is kind of fun. Like, fuck it, let's play Monopoly with this real money, which shows that they're still kind of have a sense of humor about the whole thing here. They found the police ended up finding some of the items from the game, like the get out of jail free card, a community chest card, one of the die, and 3 metal playing tokens, a car, a motorbike, and a train, and 2 of the hotels and 5 of the houses.
One of these dicks used the train. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's hilarious. They probably fought over the train. I got the train. Fuck you, damn it. I'm the one driving it. And then these all sold for auction in June of 2015, by the way, the taken Great Train robbery items. This is a huge deal over there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this is interesting. It's fucking nuts. So basically what they ended up doing is they split the loot into 17 equal shares of about, because then there was an inside guy too, of about 150,000 pounds each. Which is in the ballpark of, which is fucking Jesus.
That's not enough.
It's a lot of money for 1963.
Not enough for me.
That's so much money in 1963.
What do you think that is? Is that a million
I know
a piece by
in
now?
1969, $75,000 in American money was worth about $500,000 now.
Okay.
So that's probably in the ballpark of £1 million ish nowadays. That's a lot. Yeah. That's like 10 years salary back then, more of good salary for 1963. So that's a fucking lot. There was 1,579 of the notes that had serial numbers that were known, and the rest of the money was completely untraceable. Completely unfucking traceable. So they could just spend it all they want. Like we said, there was 2 different kinds. In 1957, the British government replaced the large white notes with small blue ones, apparently that were like half the size, and the final changeover wasn't completed, so they were kind of trying to take them out of circulation by doing that. They were a pain in the ass. Within 6 months of the robbery, 10 of the robbers have been locked up. Okay, so it fucking shit went down. People started getting busted here. Other people were on the run. People were wanted criminals. This whole thing fell apart. But in the end, very, very little of the actual money had ever been recovered.
It never showed up.
It never showed up. These guys hid their money. They gave it to other people and all sorts of shit like that. So there's a lot of money, I'm sure, that was still out there. You know, a lot of these guys got out of jail and then moved to an island, moved to South America and shit like that. And gee, where'd they get money for that? Right. So they had all of that here. But they also said that it was, they said that they got strong armed by gangsters. Relatives hit them up. Lawyers cost them money in the end. So they said that there was a lot of it was used up. They ended up recovering about 400,000 pounds in the end from scraps here and there.
Good amount still.
It's a good amount, but 15%, 20% or so, which isn't that great here. Over half of the money they got was Roger Corddry. They recovered 141,017 pounds from him, which is tough.
Almost all of it.
Almost all of it. Yeah, he was hoarding it, and he was like, I'm going to save all of mine for a rainy day.
Put it all under my bed.
Yeah,
I'll never find it.
Never. Brian Field, they recovered $100,900.
God damn it, Brian.
Yep, and 36,000 pounds. I'm sorry, pounds, not dollars. 36,000 pounds was recovered from Jimmy White's caravan, and then we'll find out Roy James ended up. They recovered 12,041 pounds from him. We'll find out how, because it's pretty fucking amazing. It's a movie. It's a movie capture too.
Okay.
So yeah, and they ended up also finding the rest in a telephone booth on Great Dover Street in South London.
They hid it in a booth.
Somebody stashed it, just threw it in there because I don't know. They thought they were getting, whatever.
Tailed.
Thought they were going to get tailed or something like that. I'll stash this for a while. No one will ever steal a bunch of money in a telephone booth.
Phone booth.
Yeah. So they said that this was kind of a democratic. I mean, Bruce Reynolds was in charge, but Roy was a big into the planning, and so were a lot of the other guys. Had different ideas, and all that sort of shit. So there was a lot of. They took idea. Anybody who had a good idea, they took it. This was a team effort. I guess they were all pissed off at Ronnie Biggs, the one who brought in the driver who didn't do shit, and then they kicked him off the train. They said he had a big fucking mouth, and they never. He said, after the robbery and after everybody goes to jail, he talks about how important he is, and he's the one who talks the most and did the least. So they all think he's a fucking asshole. They all roll their eyes like this fucking idiot here. There was a book, 1978, called The Train Robbers, which has a really accurate kind of portrayal of this whole thing. Of course, in the book, though, and in all these movies, they kind of make up a lot because they need to have like a main big boss bad guy, so they invent one like that when that one
keep the audience.
When it really didn't exist. It was really it's not as exciting to be like, hey man, this is kind of a democracy. Like, I'm kind of organizing the quorum, but outside of that, if anyone's got an idea, I'm open to it. That's less than we're going to do this and I have the plan and all that sort of shit. So this guy though, he planned on using all of his money, Roy James, to put into his fucking race car. That's why he's doing this, to be able to build a better race car and move up in the racing. That's
unbelievable.
That's what he wants to do. Which, I don't know. The fact that he still races right after he fucking does it is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
He had a practice time on a Thursday. They did the race. The next 2 weeks later, he had a practice time on a Thursday. The next day, his picture was on the front page, with the headline, quote, "Racing driver wanted."
Oh no.
And, so, he said, I don't think I'm going to go to that race since I'm wanted. They're going to think I'm there. And
reminds me of our friend that was wanted for child support or some shit like that at the comedy club, and they showed up to arrest him.
Yeah.
He's like, they think it's amateur night in this motherfucker.
That was fucking.
And he went up the freight elevator.
That was hilarious. Yeah, who do you think I am?
Well, they were serving him with papers. That's
it
all.
wasn't child support. It was just some other fucking papers. Jesus Christ, that's fucking amazing. They said under this article, "Racing driver wanted." It said, quote, "A notable non-starter in the race was Roy James, who did not appear on Saturday. Scotland Yard, it seems, wished to interview him, and James did not wish to be found."
Yeah.
So they're saying, he's on the run. That's a nice British way of saying he's on the run.
They'd love to talk to him, and he would not love to talk to them.
They'd love to put him in handcuffs,
right.
and So they do, of the 47,000 pounds recovered, 57 of the notes had serial numbers that have been recorded at the Bank of Scotland, so they're positive that those are there. One of the robbers here, they had he was the guy known as Alf Thomas. They had a guy known as Alf Thomas. That's not his real name. It's like a name that they gave him. This guy here, they caught him, but he had a reputation as a thief, but he had identifiable banknotes that he had given other people that got traced back to him. And so his friends got charged with receiving stolen property, and then they ended up giving him up eventually, saying that he was the one who gave them to him. He's probably paying off debts and stolen shit. Yeah, sure, here you go. They ended up having no evidence against against him. There was no evidence like on the farm to connect him or anything like that. So they ended up bringing him in for questioning him and releasing him. And basically they had the money that they recovered from him, but that's it. That's the only thing they had from him, and they didn't charge him. December 3rd, 1963 is the police receive an anonymous tip that directs them to the money in the phone box. Now, at the same time, they get an anonymous tip saying where Roy James is also, and a different, same day, different phone call. So this money that they found in the phone booth, they, obviously brought it in, and they said it was damp and musty, the money from there, because it was old.
Yeah.
It was like some old money they had stored. Everything's damp and musty. And
It's England.
It's England. So what do you want? It's England, a giant basement. England, the world's basement. England, go ahead and bring your dehumidifier.
Right.
Sorry, England.
England, our cigars are the best.
Moisture's a problem over there. This is not news to you. You're like, yeah, we fucking know. We pray for the sun to come out every goddamn day, goddammit.
It's a giant wine cellar.
It is like a giant wine cellar over there. Really nice. We really want to go there and do fucking shows, though. We're gonna do it. Next year, we're gonna fucking be there if it kills us. We promise.
England, keep your cigars out in the open.
Yeah, because it's keep your cigars by the fire. So yeah, a lot of shit goes on here where they're trying to imagine when this shit starts cracking and you have 16 guys and they're all scattered and a couple of them start getting busted and you don't know who's telling on what. Imagine the mad scramble to hide money and to put shit. It's fucking crazy, man. So we could go through every damn guy in this gang and see their fates, but we don't really need to do that now. There's some important ones we'll talk about here. So we don't need to talk about everybody. But anyway, James hides out in London. Roy hides out in London for weeks. He skips the next race completely. Finally, they end up tracking him from a tip to an address, a place in St. John's Wood, or whatever that, another dick reference. Yeah. Lots of dick references. A saint's cock. So what he ends up doing here, this is fucking crazy. He ends up, his house gets surrounded by police where he is. And so he gets out of a window, gets up on the roof, and is chased across rooftops.
Oh my God.
Wearing only his underwear, carrying sacks full of money. So this is fucking awesome.
It's like
this is
Pink Panther.
Well, it's like Pablo Escobar at the end of the first season of Narcos, basically. Except he didn't really do anything except fucking drive a car away from a scene with some money in it. It's a different thing. They're not going to shoot him. They want to catch him.
He's got the money with him.
But he's got his bags of money, and he's just hopping from rooftop to rooftop in his underwear with bags of money until they finally catch him.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome. So, and they end up, he has the money. Not only does he have a bag of money in his hand, which is also kind of damning, they also find one single fingerprint at the headquarters farmhouse of Roy James, and it's on the saucer that he gave the farm cat milk.
Oh, he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. He's the only guy who gave the fucking cat milk.
God damn it!
And that's where they found his thumbprint on the fucking. I could see him putting it down. You have your thumb on the top of it. Boom, and there you go. So this poor cat got him. He's like, that fucking cat. I should have skinned that motherfucker. God damn it! Why do I have to be an animal lover?
Why didn't I shoot it? Fuck.
So because he gave a cat, because he could have, I mean, he had a good lawyer and stuff. He might have gotten off or something, but that fucking that thumbprint nailed him. Shit. And he ends up getting 30 years for this.
Oh my word.
As we'll talk about. You, sir, may fuck off. That's Indeed. A fuck off. 30 fucking years, which is absolutely insane, man. I don't even know
what. But that's what you got to do when it's the largest cash heist in the world.
Yeah, you got to bang people hard on this.
Fucking nail them.
They absolutely do. Putting some of the jailers, the people in jail here. One of the justices said that. He said that told them that, quote, to deal with this case leniently would be a positively evil thing. And then that was, you, sir, may fuck off. 30 years. Most of the rest of the guys got 25-year sentences for conspiracy and 30-year sentences for armed robbery and all this type of shit. And they're all concurrent sentences, but still.
Gets more because England hates cats.
Because they hate, like, you fucking bastard.
Keeping it alive, you fucking jerk.
I think it's the running on the rooftops maybe here. It's fucking funny. But the thing is, not everybody's the government's pissed. Like the the crown is pissed and the justices are pissed and people are pissed because it makes them look silly.
Yeah.
But the actual public is fucking fascinated with this shit.
Well, yeah.
They're not pissed.
No.
They're fucking like, these guys are cool. They treat them like cowboys.
Yeah.
This is the modern day cowboy.
They took the trash and it was worth money.
And they're like, fuck yeah. Who wouldn't? And that sounds like an adventure. It's a guys putting together a thing. They didn't kill anybody. No. They fucking stole that sounds so fun and cool and like what you want to do when you're 12. It's amazing. A guy named Graham Greene, who's an author, wrote in the Daily Telegraph, quote, "Am I one of a minority in feeling admiration for the skill and courage behind the great train robbery? More important, am I in a minority in being shocked by the savagery of the sentences?" So the people are like, should they really be getting 30 years for this?
Giving them an awful lot.
Like, that's like, they didn't kill anybody. Right. They clocked one guy on the head and roughed a couple people up, but nobody fucking died. They got them, it's money that was going to be destroyed anyway.
Second degree murder charges.
Yeah, it's not like they took food from orphans and they died accordingly. So, it was pretty fucking interesting here. There's a lawsuit, by the way. One of the robbers, Gordon Goody, who lived in Spain after that, he moved away and sued England from prison for suggesting, because in one of the charges they had on him, this is fucking amazing. They charged him with all this shit, and I guess whoever he was, the woman they found him when they found him, the woman he was with was young or something. Yeah. So they charged him with all the robbery shit and quote, coercing an innocent and decent young woman was a charge. What? So he sued the state for doing it.
Made him look like a child molester.
Yeah, and he won the case.
Nice.
And received two pounds in damages. So.
I thought you were about to say 2 million pounds.
2 pounds. The USFL it's more than the USFL got from the NFL, thanks to Trump. So that was perfect, because he was the owner, not the president. So anyway, so there's a bunch of appeals here now. On July 13th, 1964, appeals by Lenny Field and Brian Field, who are not related, by the way, two robbers, both named Field, not related, against conspiracy charges to rob. Their sentences were reduced after this. They won their appeals, and their sentences were reduced to only 5 years apiece. July 14th, 1964, the appeals of Roger Corddry and Bill Bowl were allowed, and with the convictions for conspiracy to rob, they got rid of those, and they were only left with receiving charges. And so one of the judges said that it would be a miscarriage of justice if Bowl's charges were upheld, given his age, physique, and temperament made him an unlike. That's the driver. So the train driver they brought in and took off, they gave him like 25 years.
What is physique?
Because he didn't physically come on. He's like an older guy. He's like a 70-year-old man.
Okay.
He didn't come on and start fucking clocking people and saying, "I'm going to drive this fucking train, pussies."
I thought the judge was like, that guy's hot. We can't put him in jail.
He's pretty sexy. I'm looking at his pecs right now. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you.
5 years.
I'm fucking half-hard. That's all I'm going to say. I'm half and half, and we're going to reduce that sentence. Still keep you in, because I'm going to come in and take a look at you once in a while, guy, especially after working out for a couple of years. Tell you what, I'll give you 2 years.
Yeah.
You oil yourself up. I'll come take a look at you. You're looking fine enough. You're out in 2. How's that sound, guy? You need a little more work on your pecs or your abs, and you go back in for a couple. So pervert English judge is the new guy here.
I'll put my own special lotion on you. Then you can go on home.
I got a little something for you. A little something for you here. So there was a bunch of books around here. In 1964, there was a book already, The Great Train Robbery, came out immediately.
Clever.
It's the first book about the robbery, and it's relied on a retired policeman and his experience in the case. And then another one called The Robber's Tale came out in 1965, and that one the author was the wife of one of the lawyers involved in the case. So she's cashing in on just somebody's. That doesn't seem.
No.
That seems really fucking shady. Jesus Christ,
Furman's wife didn't write a book about the OJ trial.
No.
What the fuck?
I'm going to write a book about OJ. So the author in the book also, they said that she constantly hints that she knows more but can't say anything. So it's one of those. Like, I wish I could tell you the real story, but, that's confidential. Fucking ridiculous. So, August of 64, Charlie Wilson escapes from jail.
Really?
This is awesome. Yeah, these guys can't be held. For the London, too, for the police, they had to be like, Jesus, it's like trying to herd ducklings with these fucking people. They go off in every different direction. You get them in, they jump out the prison wall. Jesus Christ. What they would do, these locals, they would tell everybody later on, people would park furniture vans next to the prison walls, and people would jump out of the fucking prison. They'd put a mattress on top of a furniture van. You'd jump out of the wall, land on the mattress, and they'd fucking drive away. And they'd have getaway cars waiting for them.
After the first time that happens, why don't they put something in place to stop that?
They're like, well, everyone keep an eye on that. They're not going to stop it. But they said this isn't how Wilson got out. Wilson was apparently freed by a gang of 3 men who broke into the jail in the early morning hours and took him out.
Who is he, El Chapo?
This is what I'm saying.
Wow.
They had stolen a ladder from a construction site nearby, climbed over the wall on a ladder into from the neighboring mental hospital. So they broke into the mental hospital, which was less secure, climbed over from a ladder into the prison wall, and apparently there was some signals back and forth, and there was 3 masked men, and they accosted these prison guards and grabbed Wilson, Wilson was in the middle of a transfer to a higher security prison, and was being led down the hallway, and these guys popped out with masks on, knocked the other guys out of the way, knocked a couple guys over the head, a couple of guards, and took old Charlie Wilson out of there.
That is impressive, considering the man is only 150,000 pounds liquid. And he's not even, because he was one of the ones that found it all.
Yeah, these are his buddies. These are his buddies. He's got a gang, though.
He can't even pay you, though.
But he's in a gang.
That's amazing.
This is great. Not only this, they unlocked the doors on the way in because they had duplicate keys, and then locked them behind them on the way out politely, which at least the bum enema guy did that too, I will say. Even the bum enema locked my house up nicely on the way out. So thank you for that, bum enema. They said that the prison officials said they were positive that there was inside help because they had duplicate fucking keys. That's going to be a tough one. It was one of the biggest manhunts ever, trying to hunt him down because it just makes them look like assholes now. They can't even keep these people in prison. They set up roadblocks and ports and airports, and everything was being watched here. But he disappeared into thin air. They couldn't fucking find him. They said that he was, he was like one of these, like an Elvis sighting. Like people saw him everywhere. They saw him in Thailand. They saw him in Canada. They saw him all over the place. There's sightings everywhere, and they're looking for him. He ended up finally being caught on January 25th, 1968. So 4 years he stayed out. Somebody tipped off his location, and he was returned to serve the remainder of his sentence after that. So 4 years on the run here. That's not too fucking shabby. He's actually the last train robber to get out of prison. Because
after that's done,
he was gone for 4 years. So even just time served, he's got to go back for more. That's in 1978. So everyone ends up getting out before 15 years. Okay. So 15 years is the longest anybody is in the system here. Also here, he gets out, but Charlie Wilson was also later suspect in a 100 million pound gold fraud linked to a Brinks truck robbery. Okay. So this guy has a thing. He's into some shit here. He eventually moved to Spain and ended up having a shitload of money and had a big giant like kind of villa out on the coast of a big waterway in Spain.
Lucky duck.
So he made out. Ronnie Biggs, that's that one asshole here. Jesus Christ. He was another escapee. He escaped in 1965. He climbed over the wall of prison. They really need higher walls or something, or just keep an eye on those. This guy had plastic surgery to change his appearance.
Really?
This is what I mean. This is a movie. Imagine one guy escapes. He lives over here. Another guy's in prison. This one's trying to get out on appeals. This guy gets out, has plastic surgery, and he's going to seek revenge on them. This is fucking insane. He lives as a fugitive in Australia and Brazil. Only he returns to fucking the UK 36 years later.
36 years.
36 years later to get health care, and then they send him back to prison in 2001.
Good God.
And he finally got out in 2009, and and ended up going into a nursing home in London after that. Brian Field was a guy who, this is the guy who bought the they bought the farmhouse through. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison for that. That's why it was reduced to 5, because they said all he did was facilitate a couple of, logistical things. He didn't participate in a fucking robbery. Tommy Wisby was one of the guys who was going around knocking people in the head. Yeah. He got 30 years in prison, but was released in 76. Yeah. So not too bad. Bob Welsh was sentenced to 30 years in prison, released in 1976. He became a nightclub owner and a car dealer, and then a professional gambler in London after that, and a pitcher for the Dodgers and the A's.
Went on to have an illustrious baseball career.
A great one. And he bent his hat really far, and it was filthy as shit. One. Good job. Gordon Goody was a hairdresser who was involved in this. He was jailed for 30 years.
They got a hairdresser?
They had a hairdresser involved in this. Well, you never know if they're going to need to, spoof up your pompadour on the run here.
Yeah, sit out of my eyes.
Get that out of my eyes. I need a trim. They're stuck in the farmhouse. They're like, we're going to need a hair and nails guy in here. Bring in wardrobe. West Craft Services needs to come.
Hair and makeup, man.
Hair and makeup. He's released from prison in 1975. Not too bad. He moved to Spain to run a bar. Interesting. James Hussey was sentenced to 30 years. He's also released in 1975. He opened a restaurant in Soho, London, and died in 2012 at the age of 79, so not too shabby. Jimmy White was on the run for 3 years after the heist. He was a former paratrooper, kind of a military dude that knew how to hide and shit. He was finally caught in Kent and jailed for 18 years. Roger Corddry, by the way, he was a florist by... So they had a florist and a hairdresser in this gang. They're both like gang guys. Yeah. Florists and hair. How many florists are in a gang right now? I'd love to know that.
In the town, the main guy, the bad guy, was a florist.
Yeah,
he's a mean motherfucker.
Yeah. Right now, I'm talking about. Right this minute. Yeah. If you're a gang member florist, please hit us up. We want to know.
Scared of you.
We want to know what's going on here. I'm probably scared of you. This guy here, he was arrested after, Jesus Christ, he rented a fucking apartment from a policeman's widow who found out who he was and told, all of her friends.
Everybody.
And he spent 14 years in jail after that, and then went back and bought a flower shop. Another one here was sentenced for 3 years, one of the lawyers who helped with some legal shit, and he ended up being released in 1966. Leonard Field, this is the other Field, was sentenced to 25 years, reduced to 5, released in 1967. Bill Bull was the guy who was arrested with $141,000, which is interesting. He was the guy who he ended up, they found, this is fun, basically what they end up finding out is Bill Bull wasn't involved in the robbery at all. He was arrested because of Roger Corddry paid him a debt back in some of that money.
Oh, you dick.
And he got busted, and then they dragged Bill Bull into it, saying he had bills that were in
possession.
So that's why he ended up getting a reduced sentence later on, which is an interesting. Even the gang leader, Reynolds, he denied knowing Bull at all, said, I don't know who he is, and described him as, quote, an innocent man who was not involved with us at all.
That's nice.
Which, if the gang leader's saying, I don't even know who the fuck that guy is, he was initially, his jail sentence was reduced to 14 years for having nothing to do with shit, but collecting a debt from a friend. And guess what? He died in prison in 1970 while still protesting his innocence. And that's ridiculous. Even the gang, everybody was like, dude, this guy had nothing to do with shit.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Ronald Edwards, he fled to Mexico after the heist, ends up turning himself in 1966. By the way, he's an ex-boxer, so we could have done him on this one. You never know. But Roy's life is much more interesting. He's released. He ends up turning his life around and opens up a business in London. Bruce Reynolds is the big mastermind here. He flees to Mexico, where he's eventually joined by his wife and son, and then ends up moving to Canada. He ends up running out of money eventually, and comes back to England and is captured in 1968, sentenced to 25 years in jail. Now, Roy is sentenced, like we said, to 30 years in jail. He does 11 years in prison total.
Wow.
Roy, but he doesn't escape. Doesn't do anything crazy.
Sits back and takes it.
He sits back and takes it. They let him silversmith in jail.
Really?
They let him work on his trade.
Okay.
So he's kind of happy about that. He kind of likes doing that. At least he can do what he's interested in. And he's so good at it that they allow him to make a bunch of cool shit that's been commissioned to the prison to make. They allow him to do a lot of like really intricate stuff.
Make some bars.
He makes trophies for the different
softball teams,
even the prison staff things they have for
nice.
the softball. He makes their trophies. Yeah. He ends up making trophies for outside entities too when they hear that he does good work. Yeah. And I'm sure it's cheap because it's prison labor. Sure. He some little league trophies out there made by that dick. Yeah, I'm sure there is here. The F1 Constructors Trophy, which is a racing trophy that was presented in Paris in 1975, was actually made by him when he was in prison. It's very fucking interesting here. In August of 75, he became one of they all started getting out in 75, but he was one of the first ones to get out of the actual on the train robber, fucking hardcore guys who were in the gang here. And what he found out when he got out of jail, this is fuck, man. Imagine doing this, okay? He got caught with that 12,000 pounds, but he stashed the rest of his money. That was just his traveling money. He had the rest stashed with a friend who was supposed to take care of it for him. Problem is, while he was in jail, he gets out of jail, he goes to get his money and finds out that his friend had stolen it and spent all his money.
Of course.
So that's fucked up. That's messed up.
Of course.
Yeah. So he was super fucking pissed.
I'm sure.
Obviously. Bad friend. And he's like, I gave me, he did his part and, you're supposed to pay it forward, man. Right. Doesn't happen. And he goes to, Mickey Ball to see if maybe they can cook something up together. And he finds out that Mickey Ball had changed his name and gone into legal business and is Mr. Upstanding Citizen now and wants nothing to do with crime or robberies or anything of shit or Roy James or anything like that. So he doesn't know what to do. His racing career was in a shit spot because he just started it wasn't like he had built a huge name for himself to where he could get out and sponsors will still give him a shot. He's like a new guy, but he still wants to race.
Almost 40 years old.
Almost 40. Thinks this is a good time to break into the circuit, apparently. So he has they release him in 1975 on good behavior, and 40. He goes right back to racing. They give him, he knows a few people still that kind of feel bad for him. Sure. He's real famous from that robbery. So they let him take the car around for a couple of laps and they let him fuck around. He said that, one of the people, David Mills, who owned a team, said, quote, I was asked to help him by all sorts of people in the business. I think the racing fraternity felt it had been a terribly long sentence, 30 years. That's a life after all. He was a nice enough chap, outgoing. Many people liked him and felt that he served more than enough time. I had a Lola, which Ted Wentz had been driving in Atlantic, and then F2. And at the end of the season, we put the Ford BDA Atlantic engine back in it for James to test. I issued a press release saying Roy James returns to racing. So we had a guy trying to help him and trying to get back in there, which is cool. I mean, that's the nice of him here. Problem is he had a hard time fitting in the car. He's 5'4", Roy James, and the car was made for a 6 foot tall person.
Oh, it's too big for him.
It's too big for him, so he can't control it correctly and doesn't. You got to be on top of that shit.
He's used to midget racing.
Well, yeah. Also, too, he's like, oh, take my tie off. Right. Cardigan, we take tie. Okay, I didn't know.
What's his helmet?
Yeah, and it's just a little helmet thing. And the Mills, this team owner, said that it was huge and, quote, it was really too powerful for him. Like all racing drivers, he thought he would be even better in a faster car, but after all those years in prison, he said, mind you, he kept himself in shape in the prison gym. I think motor racing was his lifeline. He just kept it in his sights that one day he'd come out and be a racing driver again. He was so keen. I can't describe how excited he was to drive a racing car around a circuit again. And he was getting down some good times, and when he went off, that was the end of his dream. Such a shame. So yeah, he ended up he couldn't do this, so he ended up going back to silversmithing, back to what he knew, which is a skill, and he can at least make a living doing that, which is great. Luckily, like we said, he was allowed to do it in prison. So he ends up making a couple trophies for the racing. They're still trying to help him. So hey, you're good at silversmithing. We need trophies for all this shit. You're our trophy guy now. So he ends up getting some work there. 1978, the Train Robbers book comes out, which is kind of a big success. It kind of the standard known as that's the one where they make up the big boss. But other than that, it's a really good, accurate representation. Now, 1982, Roy marries a woman named Thea Wadlow. So far he hasn't had a life besides robbing in prison. But he marries Athena Wadlow. Now, 1982. Do the math of how old he is. He's 47 years old. She is 17 years old.
Oh, no.
Just turned 18 years old, like right when they met, okay? Which is 30-year age difference. That's fucking rough. Yeah. That's a lot of years. That's a whole... You don't even know.
No, that's too much.
You have no references that are the same. That's fucking father-daughter shit. That's crazy. She's 18. Her father is a successful bank manager. They're a very wealthy family here, and real wealthy. So he marries a young woman in a wealthy family. So he must have some kind of swagger to him. To
get his parents to allow that shit?
Yeah, well, to get her to want him too, unless that she looks at him like the bad boy.
Listen, there are chicks that love older men.
Well,
That's
plus he's famous as like this swashbuckling train robber, you know what I mean? So maybe she thinks that's exciting. Yeah. I could see that. An 18-year-old girl, just, she probably thinks that's exciting.
Bob Saget just married a woman in her 30s.
Yeah, Bob Saget has like $200 million in the bank, but this fucking
good point.
This guy does not, I'm sure. But he's famous. Like I said, he was part of a major, huge book that came out, and movies are done about this type of shit. But 1984, Roy is arrested again. This is ridiculous. Guess who he's arrested with? Charlie Wilson.
Oh boy.
He's arrested there. This is a fraud thing. It's a fraud charge involving the melting down of stolen gold coins.
Oh, God damn it.
Since he's a silversmith, he knows how to do this. He has all the equipment for this. Charlie Wilson, brings him into it.
He brings the coins and he smelts them down.
And then it's, hey, look at that. It's not stolen anymore.
Look at that. It's a ring.
This time though, he goes to trial for it and he's acquitted of the charges.
All right.
He 100% did it probably, allegedly, but he's fucking acquitted of it somehow. So he thinks he's cool as shit.
Yeah.
Imagine him strutting out of the courtroom there like, I didn't get 30 years for that. Right. I'm ready to rob another fucking train. He's probably feeling goddamn good about himself.
Anybody want to buy a ring?
Right. Who wants some? So yeah, he gets back to his pad. He's fucking stretching out, making a drink. I assume this is what I think of him, by the way. Every time he enters his apartment, he automatically strips down to his underwear.
Yeah.
And he always has 2 sacks of money waiting for an escape. That's his escape. I need to be aerodynamic, greases himself down, takes all his clothes off, and I got my money bags here. He kicks back and there's a knock at the door. And he's like, oh shit, who the fuck is this? Or this is the guy, he hides his money bags.
Yeah.
And he opens the door and it's not the cops though. It's the Mexican pimp, guns blazing. And he says, how is it you've come to arrive here? Why are you here? Why? I do not understand. You have money. You have all the money. What do? You walk around. You run around on the rooftops. Do you know how much money? 150,000 pounds. I do not have inflation calculator or anything, but I assume in 1963 you could have bought many women for that. Many women, which would have made you a profit as you make them have sex with men around. Don't you know anything? You know what? We need to sit down, me and you, and have a business talk because I don't think you are doing this correctly, and I think you could be a very good businessman. I have to go. I have many prostitutes outside. They wander away if I do not go get them. Thank you. Goodbye. Poof. And in a poof of gun smoke and tequila, he is gone. And this guy's confused as fuck because he's never met a Mexican in his life.
Never even been to Mexico.
He's never been to Mexico. He has no idea what's happening. It's very odd. Within a few years of this whole thing, he's getting arrested for fucking melting down gold coins. Yeah. Oddly enough, his young teenage bride gets tired of him within a few years.
I'm sure.
They break up. They have had 2 children together.
No way.
2 children. He knocked this broad up twice. So 2 children. James is granted custody of the children somehow. Somehow he gets custody. Yeah. Well, not now. She's like 23, but she has 2 kids. But he's also told he has to he's ruled by the courts to make a 150,000 pound settlement to her.
Oh my God.
In the mid 80s.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of fucking money. And, he doesn't have that shit sitting around. So he never paid it. He never paid the fucking debt at all. He just kept it going. And the problem is, this was a huge problem between him and her family for years. This went on and this went on. Her father, David Wadlaw is his name. He was the bank manager. This guy is like hunting James down for the money. You owe my daughter 150,000 pounds. It's been set in court. We want our fucking money. So we'll get to that in a second. But first we have to tell you about what happened to a couple people. Charlie Wilson. This guy had a bad time here. Charlie Wilson was, Jesus Christ, he's in South London, still doing a bunch of street shit. In 1990, he allegedly cheats a drug dealer out of some money in a drug deal, and then he is riding down the street on a bike and shot and killed.
Oh no!
In 1990, So the Wilson's wife Pat saw the murder, and she named a man who she claimed was the hitman who she saw. The guy rode away on a bike, and somebody shot him as he was like riding away from her, which is interesting.
And very English.
Very, very English as fuck. Goodbye, love. Pop. Oh, no.
He's down on his Schwinn.
Oh, no. She ran down. Oh, no. But she couldn't show too much emotion, so that's the thing. She had to keep it kind of cool. So poor Charlie Wilson, he's had a lot going on.
Yeah.
This fucking guy's all sorts of shit happening. Now, 1993, Roy James is in an argument with his father-in-law, David Wadlow. His father-in-law wants the money again, which is fucking interesting here. So they returned from basically the father and the ex-wife had this is crazy. The father and the ex-wife had the kids out for the day. Sure. They returned them to Roy. At the time, they said, "Hey, where's my money? Are you going to ever pay us my money?" Roy decides he's had enough, and what he does is he pistol whips his father-in-law and then shoots him 3 times.
Oh boy!
And then pistol whips his wife and begins to strangle her as well.
Oh my God!
He has fucking had it.
Yeah,
he's had it. He said, "Pop, pop, pop, strangle, strangle, strangle." Right. He's pistol whipping and strangling and shooting anybody he gets his fucking hands on. He's lost it.
Yeah.
He's been he's tired of being asked the same thing for 5 fucking years. He's tired of it. He's like, "I married you because you have money.
Right.
I don't have shit. You're not getting shit out." As McNulty would say in The Wire, "Blood from a stone, darling." When his ex-wife wants money from him, he just says, "Blood from a stone, darling." Brilliant. He smiles. That's all you can say. And shoots his father-in-law 3 times, leaving him, doesn't kill him, leaves him partly disabled and a bunch of scars all over him and shit like that. He calmly calls the police on himself. He didn't try to make a runaway or anything. He said, "Yeah, I just shot my father-in-law." "Oh, yeah, but strangle my wife, too. So bring 2. Bring 2 paramedics, probably." I'm going to need to do that. He is charged with attempted murder on this one.
Of course.
So, obviously, you shoot somebody, that's probably attempted murder. And he goes to court, and you, sir, may fuck off again. Sentenced to 6 years in prison for attempted murder.
6 years attempted murder, 30 for fucking
30 for decoupling a train car, driving away with some money. Yeah,
doing
interesting.
It right, England.
Yeah, not too shabby. So this is 1993. He shoots his father-in-law, and he's put in jail for 6 years. But after about 3 years, he begins to have heart problems.
Oh, no.
In 1996, he's still in prison and has a heart attack. And then they're going to release him. And so then they just release him onto the world. So, I mean, fuck, man. If you're like his family, it's like, okay, this guy's been in and out of prison. Now he's out of prison. You give him to us while he's dying and destitute. Thanks a lot.
Now we got to pay for this shit?
Yeah, I'm sure fucking David Wadlaw still wants his money. Limping over there to fucking get it. I mean, they're entitled to their money. I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy.
Yeah.
But not nearly as bad as I feel for Roy James.
Oh, no.
A financial advisor at Prudential. He's also apparently a train robber. I feel very bad in the Tampa, St. Petersburg area. Give him your money to play with, I guess. Roy James, he works at Children's Health in Queensland, Brisbane, Australia, at a hospital. So he's a nice guy.
Children's Hospital
in Brisbane.
That's so sweet.
Pastor Roy James at the First United Methodist Church in Longview, Texas. He's not happy with his reputation at all right now.
What a cowboy name.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. And this guy's kind of a cowboy that we have here. And finally, Roy James, another financial advisor, and his says, I love his thing here. "My focus areas are protecting your family, saving for retirement, living in retirement, financial strategy, saving for education and small business, and decoupling train cars." I wish he would have said that.
It's fascinating. There's 2 of the guys that are in money.
They're both in money in different companies, which is fucking hilarious. So 1994, Ronald Buster Edwards, who's another part of this gang here. He's found hanged in his garage in 1994, which is interesting. And he had a big funeral, which was accompanied by 2 giant wreaths in the shape of trains, which is cool. So this was these guys' claim to fame their whole fucking lives. They live off this like the Nixon robbers live off of it. G. Gordon Liddy was on fucking TV for 30 years just because he's a fucking criminal. So they live off of this the same way. It's interesting. Spring of 1997, Roy is released from prison and undergoes a triple bypass operation right after he gets out of prison. Unfortunately, he does not make it. And August 21st, 1997, Roy dies of heart disease.
Damn it.
I mean, he lived 62 years, but he had a pretty fucking crazy life. He's a goddamn race car driver that robbed trains and melted down gold and shot his father-in-law. He's living the fucking dream. He strangled his ex-wife and robbed a train.
And still died a free man.
And still died a free fucking man. Not too shabby. Jesus Christ. Ronnie Biggs, who's the guy that nobody liked, he said from his home in Brazil when asked about this, he was still hanging out in Brazil. He said, it was asked about Roy James. He said, quote, "It is very sad. I didn't know him before the robbery, but we spent time in prison together and he was great company for me." So nice guy there. 1999, Bruce Reynolds and Biggs signed up to produce a great train robbery video game.
What?
In 1999, but it never came to fruition. The whole deal here. Apparently, they made a board game called The Great Brain Robbery that's based on this, and they got some kind of money based on the fact that they had a Monopoly board, so it's based on that shit. 2013, Bruce Reynolds dies in his sleep. So he ended up dying too, the main guy, the main mastermind of the whole thing here. And there is the crime scene has a plaque there now.
Really?
And it said, "This is Bridge LEC 1/127, train robbers were here between Cheddington and Leighton Buzzard." It's funny. It says, in the event of any any road vehicle striking this bridge, please call. That's just a normal thing. But yeah, they have this is to commemorate where the train robbery happened at the bridge.
It's a bummer that his heart, in terms of feeding that cat, got him pinched.
Yeah.
And his heart killed him, too.
And then his heart fucking killed him. Absolutely.
Poor guy.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, the plaque, one of the post office carriages that was part of the remaining train, not involved, but in that, not the main, high value car, but one of the other ones, is preserved at the railway in Peterborough, Cambridgeshire. Dude, too many. Peterborough, Cambridgeshire. You can't have any shires or fucking boroughs more. Just chop off all your shires, you sons of fucking bitches. Sorry. God damn it. Too many fucking shires. Everything's a shire, and it's not pronounced shire.
It's a sure.
It's a sure. And it's being restored. They, like I said, they burned the one that actually was used in the robbery because it was just being attacked by souvenir hunters all the time.
Of course.
Also, they ended up basically throwing out and getting rid of, scrapping most of the train cars from that, based on that whole thing. The retrieved Monopoly board that was found there, and a genuine $5 note from the robbery is on display at the Thames Valley Police Museum in Solmestead, Berkshire, which sounds good. Another shire, you motherfuckers. So that's kind of cool. They have the actual Monopoly board there, and they called the bridge Train Robbers Bridge forever, basically, because that's what it is. That's what that all happened there. 2018, this is fucked up. 2018, this is cool actually. They recover his car, his Brabham car. That car was stolen in 2017 from a property in New Zealand, and it was lost for more than a year before it was finally discovered in a police raid of some other thing.
How about
they
that?
discovered the car. The owner of it thought it was gone. He said, quote, "Everyone told me it would never be seen again. I never believed I would get a racing car like this. This car is very special to me. I built it up from a bit of wreckage, and the car has big history. Everyone remembers it from the 60s.
I wonder how much it's worth.
Well, no shit. Well, let's find out here. I think they have it here. The car is damaged and not drivable at this point, but he says the guy's still happy. By the way, it's about $51 million is what 2.6 million, or 51 million pounds is about what 2.6 million pounds is now.
That? Wow.
So they stole 51 million pounds. That's good enough.
Impressive.
Yeah, we were pretty excited about 30 million whatever that Lee Murray stole. This is huge. It's $67 million in inflation. I don't know what the car is worth now, though, because it's all fucking trash.
Sure.
So who the hell knows? Still probably worth something.
Pretty cool.
Can't get enough. There is no shortage of books and movies out here. Even if you just look up the Wikipedia page, there's like a list of 20 books and all sorts of shit. And most of them are kind of embellished a little bit. And this is as dry as we could tell it without making up crazy shit. And it's a legend. So it's one of those things where it's hard to get accurate facts. And this is kind of the most accurate facts we could find on this whole thing. And I'm sure people will tell us we're wrong, but whatever. Sure we don't really give a shit. No. That's right, James. Robbed a train, melted down some gold, and shot his fucking father-in-law. Enjoy.
You bet.
Enjoy. So that's a very British, very weird case right there. This is not a normal one.
No.
This was a very fucking odd one.
Deep into crime.
It's deep into crime. It had virtually no sports in it. It was really like he raced for about 11 months and then
plays such a role.
Let's talk about 30 years of being arrested and being in and out of prison. I'm surprised. I got to be honest with you. When he shot his father-in-law and strangled his ex-wife, that surprised me when I was putting the story together. I'm like, I didn't expect that. I expected him to have like kind of one of these half-ass celebrity careers and not do that sort of shit. You know what I mean? Like do like whenever a book comes out about it, he comes and waves and they give him $100 to go wave at the crowd.
Press junket and
sign
autographs.
I was there. I was the getaway driver and that sort of shit. But if you like that story, there's plenty you can do to tell us about it.
There's
No end to it. Get on iTunes or Apple Podcast, whatever the shit it's called, and give us 5 stars on there. Doesn't matter what you say. Just tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It's really not for our egos. If you want to follow us on social media, very easy to do that at Crime and Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is at Small Town Murder. We put crime and sports stuff on there too. Do that, or you can just find all of this at shutupandgivememurder.com, where you can get also merchandise, t-shirts. You can get tickets to Small Town Murder live shows. And if you are so inclined, you can be a fabulous, fantastic hero of ours, and you can donate to the show very easily. That website will there's links there that take you to patreon.com/crime and sports, or you can also go to PayPal to make a one-time donation using our email address, which is crimeandsports@gmail.com. And honestly, those donations are the most appreciated thing on the face of the earth. We are just blown away by the fact that you guys do that for us. And we have a list of people that have blown us away this week. Our producers, our favorite people. Jimmy, why don't you hit me with that list like I've just tried to get you to pay my daughter 150,000 pounds that you owe me.
This week's executive producers are Kenneth Meinhardt, Michael Kennedy, who donated twice this week. Thank you so much, man. Mike. Nicholas Levitt, Eva Tarowska, who moved back to England, but thank you so much, Eva.
Gave up on us?
Her work visa expired.
Shit. Well, we're sorry to lose you.
Thank you very much. Cheryl L. Wright, Caitlin Stupik, Denise Herdman, Maria Martinez, and Chrissy-Ann Castaldi. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Chrissy-Ann comes through all the fucking
Yeah,
time. You guys are fucking heroes. Thank you.
Really.
Sheldon Murphy, Tyler Atkinson in San Francisco. That was the fellow that we helped on stage.
Man. Cool dude.
Yeah, dude was great.
Nice hanging with that guy,
hero.
man. Yeah, dude.
Good dude. Don't fucking run off next time.
Dude, that is the bravest man I've ever seen. I know
truly
blind people don't give a shit because they're like, dude, this is what we do.
Right.
But for people like us that are, fucking scared of the world anyway, this guy goes out by himself, don't give a fuck, going to do my shit, not going to mess up my world. Awesome dude, man.
Unbelievable.
We respect the hell out of you, bro.
Keep going, Tyler. I know you deal and you battle and you're a fucking good kid. Thank you. Brendan Abels, Jesse Hartman, Hunter Perry, Sugarfoot's Cupcakes.
Yeah.
Not sure
Brendan
what they
Abels
are.
is that teenager too, right? That teenage kid?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, he's a teenager. He's a good kid. Thanks for that, man. Appreciate it.
Stephanie Ponchett, Samantha Bonezar. She's the czar of the bone.
Oh,
thank you, Samantha.
Thank you.
David Renazzi.
For all of your contributions.
Rob Madursky. That's the dude that was in Detroit, I think, with his daughter. Maybe it was New York. Maybe it was Chicago.
I get confused on cities.
It was in the Midwest or New York.
I remember it was
I think
called
it was New York.
It was chilly out. We know that much.
David Clark, Eric Langenecker, Karen Lambiasi. That's the one that brought us to the suites in San Francisco.
Thank you. That was so cool.
Jessica Schaefer, Andrew Cordovis, Timothy Jenkins, Corey Braux, who is the president of the Lino Lakes Pronunciation Committee.
Hey, very nice.
He wants to always remind you that.
Oh, thank you.
Because Corey's a dick.
We need him.
I like it, Corey. Tess Garcia, not Dick, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, you like Dick too. Just move on.
Tess Garcia, Reagan Shalkley, Martina Lee Luonga.
Oh, yeah, nice to see her
fantastic.
again, too.
Thanks, Martina. Tyler Sheets, Catherine Hintz, or Heinz, Matt Dietrich, Gwendolyn Very, James Fraker from L.A. That's the guy that was in the Time Suck hat over there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, nice to meet you,
James.
Man.
Pleasure to meet you, brother. Cynthia Mixer, Sinfully Delightfully Clean Eating, Sarah Wright, Lindsay Rustin, Laura Schwartz, Laura Schwartz Hockey.
There you go.
Go see Laura and Schwartz.
She make
for
hockey
shit. I don't know.
Or is her last name, is it hyphen hockey?
No, it wasn't hyphen.
Oh.
It might
she
be
makes
hyphen.
Hockey shit?
Maybe her last name's also hockey.
Oh, shit.
Justin Miller donates every show that he listens to. And I think he may have wrapped up because he sent us a nice donation,
wow,
too.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, I mean, all of them are nice.
No, anything.
A much bigger one was my point.
We appreciate the hell out of you.
Thanks,
Thank
Justin.
you.
Big Rig Rick, and also the homies down in Florida, they are all guilty, they say, and also that we're safe. They're tough dudes, I imagine, but
I like it.
They'll make sure that our buttholes stay tight if we're ever incarcerated in Florida. That's
nice. I'm happy to hear that. That's good. It's very important to me. I'm going to be real honest with you.
Rick, who sounds like a very tough man. Thank you, Big.
Thanks.
Big Rick. Why did Big Rig? It's Big Rig Rick.
Big Rig Rick sounds like a guy who'll beat you with a tire jack. Not even like a small, like a hydraulic one that you stand on and pump. One of those, just pick it up and beat you with it.
the lumberjack one.
Yeah.
Jason Fuller, again, thanks, Jason.
Oh, thanks,
Bryant Toole. Jordan Barrett donated twice. Thank you, Jordan. Actually, both ways, Patreon and then PayPal. Thank you.
Ass and mouth. Okay.
Right.
Exactly.
Thanks, brother. Got both of them.
Appreciate it.
Gina Excel, Catmandu Real Estate, Neil Campbell, Christopher Ross, Under the Sea Fabrics, of course.
Thank you.
Kirsten Brosvik Flatyard. I think that's true.
Okay, I think that's true. I
think that's right.
I think that's true.
Laura Ashton, Kyle Knapp, Rika Deo, Rika, R-I-K-K-A. Rika. It's Rika, right?
Sure.
Deo.
Rika.
It's a tough one. Jason Miller, not the Jason Miller who's in trouble, by the way.
No, not that
Jason
guy.
Mayhem's going back to jail.
Yeah.
Fucking dipshit.
Yeah, of course he is.
Maria Taylor, Megan
Simmons,
Jen Gross, Alice, Alys, I think. David Clark, Kayla Pentecost, Devin. It's Devin Merriman, Drew Mannery. Is that a man boob? A mannery?
Mannery?
No, it's mannery for sure.
Oh, yeah, maybe. That'd be mammery.
Right. It's a mannery.
Man-marie.
Ryan Bear, Amanda Mitchell, John Pickett, Nick Jubry, Laura Christensen, Frank Maggio. That's our guy.
Frankie.
Lisa Banaderi. Lisa, thank you.
Thank
Kim
you,
Owens,
Lisa.
Kim Owens Goldstein, Callie Ander, Dana Papalia. Jesus Christ, that's tough.
I'm on a roll today.
Amy Williams, Tony Noune. Noun, eh?
It's a noun, eh?
Noun, eh? Matthew Pauk, Scott Dawson, and Christine Stange. It's not strange, it's Stange. Thank you guys so much. We can't do this shit without you.
Thank you so much. Honestly,
that's the truth.
It means the world to us, and it'd be really, really hard to do this without you. So thank you guys so much for listening, for spreading it, for donating, for everything that you do, buying tickets to live shows, and thanks for saying hi to us at live shows.
It's awesome.
We really enjoy it. So thank you guys so much for all of that shit. And what if these people wanted to say hi to you on a social media type setting? How can they do that,
You
Jimmy?
can find me at Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and it's really great to hear from you guys and how you guys found the show and what you guys do listening. I really, really genuinely appreciate it. So thank you. What about you?
Thank you. You can find me at Jimmy P is funny. Say hello there, whatever, or try to copy and paste my last name from the show description. That way you don't have to try to spell it, because that's not going to work out well for you. You're going to fuck it all up. I've seen awful fuck-ups of my name. So don't worry about doing that. Just keep coming back and seeing us every week because we're going to have more wild shows for you. We apologize about being off last week. Couldn't help it. Technical difficulty. Anybody who had a problem with it, eat shit and die. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Fuck yourselves. We tried.
We gave it our hardest. We showed up, started, and it said no.
It said no, and then we had to get on a fucking plane. So there's really, at that point, nothing that could be done about it. I think we've proven over almost 3 years that if it's possible to put out an episode, we'll fucking put one out. So if it's not, be worried that something happened, because maybe something happened. Other than that, we're good. But that said, Jimmy, I think it's fucking time to wrap this bad boy up live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.